Welcome to Am I Invincible? If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more. Your support keeps us going. 5 years ago, Pingan came to this world of cultivation. He had a system, but he could not get stronger until he completed 1,000 missions. Every task was a trivial matter and his rewards were things that can be used in real life. Even the fishes were system gifts. Sometimes, however, he would receive a crappy reward despite his wish to receive Wi-Fi and air conditioning. Despite his comfortable life, Pingan could sometimes felt he was tired. Right then, a system prompt appeared. A new task had been selected. He guessed he would need to make toys for kids or a couple might be fighting again. To his surprise, he was asked to go to the mountain sect. Pingan was immortal and believed he could not get in. Then he asked the system if it would give him a way to get stronger. The system answered that a man should be strong, giving him 3 months, otherwise he would be wiped out once he failed. Unsurprisingly, Pingan had already expected this. In the past 5 years, he received all kinds of strange tasks, but now all of his hard work might go to waste. However, he was optimistic and believed he could handle the task. Later that day, he started walking on a mountain path when he suddenly remembered something. He did not know where the mountain sect was located. The system told him to be self-reliant, to which he retorted he did not count on it at all. To his frustration, he was lost and could not find any clues since an immortal sect was usually hidden in the mountains. In the end, he decided to sit tight and wait for something to fall from the sky. It was then that a girl fell out of nowhere while screaming for her life. The sound brought Pingan's attention and made him look to his side. Since his weight bore fruit, he proceeded to catch the fallen girl. Looking at the smoke rising from the ground, he asked for an apology for missing her. After the clouds of dust settled down, he saw the girl lying on the ground unconscious and he wondered why a beautiful girl, who he assumed to be a cultivator, would fall from the sky. After a while, the girl's face twitched. Soon, she woke up from her sleep, revealing her beautiful eyes. She immediately saw Pingan, who kept poking her with a stick. The girl immediately retreated a distance away with tears in her eyes, but Pingan claimed he did not do anything to her. It was then that the girl noticed something and her eyes widened in surprise. She suddenly fell to her knees while she called Pingan Senior and begged for help, which made him confused. Soon, another group of men appeared behind him. He fell into a panic and realized the girl was being chased. Seeing so many men around, Pingan whispered to the girl to run away. However, the girl kept on kneeling, calling for him with a pitiful expression. Pingan knew her request was useless and he could not beat so many immortal cultivators since he was only immortal. At that moment, the group of men fell to their knees without hesitation. They asked for apologies for disturbing him. Confused, he asked them if it was for immortal cultivators liking to kneel. Back at his home, the chickens were wondering when would Pingan return from his trip. The chicken was embarrassed since it was a phoenix. It thought it was unlucky for not being brought by its master. The carp also complained that as a dragon, it still had to nest in the pit. They also thought about the kitchen knife, who kept on shouting every day because of hunger and thirst, wanting to kill people all day. The chicken assured everyone that if the master did not want it to cut people, the kitchen knife would not dare. The scene changed and the woman who fell from the sky a while ago was now staring at Pingan with awe, as she believed she was not mistaken and he was not an ordinary person. On the other hand, the group of men remained trembling on their knees. Pingan's pressure was so intense they could not get close to him, and it was unexpected that the girl, Morong Shua, would meet such an existence. The men were terrified as one look at them made their souls feel they would be annihilated. All of them sensed the same: Pingan was a monster. Seeing their horrified faces, he was confused and stammered with his words. However, it was enough to drive the man to madness, and immediately pleaded to leave. Right then, Pingan realized they were good people. He put on a good face and asked the men to go away. As if their lives were pardoned, the group of men with tears in their eyes dashed away with gratitude. After settling the matter, the girl immediately pounced at him for a hug, thanking him for saving her life, to which he clarified he did not do anything and he was only immortal. The girl did not accept his words since a mere mortal would not be able to scare off 4 Jin dance stage experts with just his Dao rhyme, but the girl believed he had his reasons for saying so. She immediately agreed to his words and unconvincingly proclaimed him immortal. He cupped his fist at her and asked if she was Morong Shua, the holy maiden of the mountain sect. After she confirmed it was her, Pingan told her his plan to go to her sect and asked if they could go together. Morong Shue immediately pointed in a direction, excited to have the chance to experience the immortal's journey together with an extraordinary senior. While the girl excitedly thought of her future, Chen Pingan smiled brightly upon thinking he had found a back door to the mountain sect and could experience a flight of immortal cultivators. Time passed by, and he turned impatient. He told the girl he was immortal and could only walk. He was silently expecting her to bring him to fly. Contrary to his anticipations, the girl proclaimed she would walk with him. Later, they reach a river where the girl started cultivating, leaving Chen Pingan on the side with a bored expression. With constant rumbling, water began to gather and whirl all over her body. However, she failed to break through. The tamed whirlpool of water burst apart and turned chaotic. In the end, she was drenched, revealing the smooth skin under her clothes. On the side, Chen Pingan was annoyed about not being able to fly. Hearing the girl's call for him, he immediately asked what was wrong. She walked over to him and said she had a favor to ask. Soon, she arrived before him. Seeing her appearance, he asked her if the problem she wanted help with got anything to do with water. The girl was amazed after his words, declaring she admired him for his wisdom. In his thoughts, however, she was making him unable to look at her due to her wet appearance. Appreciating the view, Chen Pingan was mesmerized for a few moments. Noticing his dazed look, the girl called out softly. Blushing, he said it was nothing and averted his eyes. The girl, on the other hand, was amazed by his mysterious ways of knowing her situation. She called out to him again and walked closer. She slid into his embrace and begged him to help her since she could only rely on him for a breakthrough, to which he answered he could not involve in her private matters. He immediately gave her a cup of warm water and explained they would discuss what to do later. He expressed that immortal cultivators had many means to achieve a breakthrough, to which the girl answered she could not ask anyone for help. The girl accepted the cup and she was stunned when she took a sip from it. It was then she thought deeply of the meaning behind his words and concluded that instead of observing water and awaiting enlightenment, she must be with water to be enlightened. Soon enough, a feeling of goodness surged within her and she succeeded in breaking through. She immediately kneeled and thanked him for his advice, and in turn, she would never forget the great debt of kindness. With a helpless expression, Chen Pingan could only scratch his head in confusion. Later, they reached the mountain sect. Upon arriving, he discovered Morong Shue was the sect master's daughter, which made him wonder no more why she could not even dry her clothes. He entered the back door and thought that even the handyman had to have qualifications to enter through the front door, which made him happy. Inside a room, Morong Shue told her father, Morong Yunhai, about her journey. He asked her why would such a mysterious man wanted to join the sect. On the side, Qing Xian, an elder of the mountain sect, laughed and treated her words as a joke. Annoyance appeared on her face and declared she was not lying, and even she too was shocked to know his desire to join the sect. Learning he was outside waiting for their decisions, her father told her to say no more since she must have been deceived by an unorthodox cultivator. He immediately stood from his seat and decided to deal with the liar. Seeing the irritated look on her father, she tried to convince him. Soon, her father stepped outside. His eyes flared up as he saw the man his daughter had brought. He remembered his daughter's words. Then the man's whole body was emitting qi, to which she asked him if he could not see it. Looking at Chen Pingan, Morong Yunhai's voice of disbelief sounded, proclaiming the man in front of him was not only emitting qi but was more like his body was pure qi. Seeing Morong Yunhai approach him with large strides, Chen Pingan knew it was the sect master. With a courteous smile, he greeted Morong Yunhai. To his surprise, the sect master bowed deeply and proclaimed he had committed a sin deserving death for letting him wait outside. Believing he was only a mortal, Chen Pingan fell into a panic after noticing the daughter and father pair was overly respecting him out of nowhere. When she saw his flustered face, Morong Shue whispered to her father and informed him that the senior was cultivating his mind as a mortal for restraint, and it would be better to agree with his words than to anger him. But after seeing his look, her father felt it was unacceptable to think of Chen Pingan as a mortal. Eventually, Morong Yunhai introduced himself and confirmed Chen Pingan was joining his section. Chen Pingan applied to be a handyman as long as they would allow him to stay in a sect. Morong Yunhai immediately denied Chen Pingan's request, which the girl angrily contested. With a baffled expression, Chen Pingan wondered why the girl was more anxious than him. Right then, a brilliant expression appeared on Morong Yunhai's face as he declared his choice of resigning from his position as the sect master, proclaiming Chen Pingan as his replacement. His words stunned Chen Pingan and made up his mind to brand Morong Yunhai as crazy. Hurriedly waving his hands, he declined the position bestowed to him. This time, a solemn look appeared on their faces, realizing the position of sect master was not good enough for the senior to accept. Morong Yunhai coughed and said he would not be polite. Chen Pingan accepted readily and hoped he would not be kicked out, otherwise his mission would be ruined. However, his worries were unfounded after the sect master declared he would be the only sect ancestor of the mountain sect. To his frustration, Chen Pingan could not help but scratch his face, realizing immortal cultivators were difficult to communicate with. Although he could not cultivate, he had heard about the hierarchy of a sect. He was just immortal and not only to be an ancestor but he would not be even qualified to be a disciple. After thinking for a bit, he decided to persuade them. Right then, Morong Yunhai turned around and requested Chen Pingan to proceed to the hall, declaring the matter is settled and the senior would now be the sect ancestor. Suddenly, Morong Shui grabbed her father's sleeve. She expressed that her uncle was in the hall and had the same attitude as him before and it would be bad if he disrespected the senior. After hearing his daughter's words, he immediately dashed away, leaving Morong Shui to entertain the senior. Pointing at the sect master, he asked the girl if there was an internal emergency, to which she hesitantly affirmed. Later in the hall, Zhang Qingxian was staring at the treasure in his hand with an interested expression. Right then, seeing Morong Yunhai had returned, he immediately asked if the liar was sent away. Morong Yunhai hurriedly grabbed his shoulders and explained that the senior's strength was unpredictable, further asking him not to be disrespectful later as the senior was already the ancestor of the sect. With an alarmed expression, Zhang Qingxian was in disbelief after seeing Morong Yunhai was also fooled. He immediately stood from his seat and dashed outside to the liar with an annoyed look on his face. The moment he stepped outside, his eyes flew open in horror. He saw Chen Pingan walking as though he was an immortal who came down from heaven. His knees gave in. Kowtowing with sweat trickling all over his body, he asked forgiveness for not welcoming the great master. After he witnessed the elder's embarrassing situation, Morong Yunhai could not help but laugh at him. Within the elder's mind, he was wondering why Morong Yunhai's luck was through the heavens for catching a mighty existence. Chen Pingan, on the other hand, felt his intelligence insulted after seeing so many immortals kneeling in front of him, wondering if it was a courtesy between cultivators. Eventually, he thought it was likely and asked if he should also kneel, causing everyone's expression to change. They hurriedly grabbed Chen Pingan and stopped him from his act. Right then, the elder's treasure fell. It bumped toward Chen Pingan's way. Picking it up, he suddenly asked, "Where did you get it?" The elder explained that the illusory moon sect disciples had found out that it was an object with an unknown material and they could not open it. Chen Pingan scratched his cheek and said the material was just ordinary wood and inside was only food. Hearing his words, everyone asked him if he could see what was inside. Chen Pingan answered he did not have that skill and explained that he knew about it because he was the one who made the thing. Right then, he remembered the past when he was given a task to make toys for the children. He decided to find some wood and make some Luban locks. Back to the present, Chen Pingan explained that the mechanism was broken, which was the reason why no one can open it, so he could only open it in another way. After searching for a while, he brought out a terrifying knife which immediately spread a destructive aura around the room. Looking at the knife, everyone felt their lives flash before their eyes. Horrified looks were painted on their faces as they instinctively took a step back, realizing the knife held greater power than immortal weapons. At that moment, everyone finally realized Chen Pingan was holding a legendary artifact. As the knife hit the wooded treasure, everyone felt the world rumble as though everything was on the brink of collapse. The elder was so shocked at the sight, he felt the laws of the world had collided. Soon, the wooden treasure was opened, revealing the mystery inside. Chen Pingan turned his head and with confusion, he asked why everyone was hiding far away. They did not answer his question and wondered what was the thing inside, to which he explained that it was a candy and he made it as a reward for the children after they opened their toys. As she brought the candy near her nose, Morong Shui discovered a strong spiritual power. Full of curiosity, she immediately swallowed the candy. Right then, a surge of energy flooded her body and she advanced from the first level of pill formation directly to the 10th level. She hurriedly took his hand and thanked him for her helping to save her life and for guiding and giving her a chance to break through. With a hint of shyness on her face, she asked him if she could repay him with her body. Smoke burst out from his nose and his face turned red. The girl was beautiful and her figure was good, and now, she was offering herself to him just because of his candy. A moment later, Chen Pingan decided to decline after thinking her father might not agree and declared he did not need her body on such a trivial thing. Morong Yunhai, however, was happily giving his approval and believed his daughter's offer was the best way to repay him. Realizing the girl's mentality stemmed from her father, Chen Pingan resolved to bring her to the right path. He explained that chastity was not something she should give just because of his candy. The girl replied that after he came to the mountain, he needed a servant. At that moment, she pounced at him and expressed her intention to be his maid. Seeing Chen Pingan's hesitant face, sadness overwhelmed the girl, and she questioned if she was really bad-looking. Glancing at his side, Chen Pingan saw her father's thumb up, expressing his blessing. The elder on the side turned demonic and asked Morong Yunhai to stop since they agreed to make his daughter the elder's daughter-in-law. To the elder's frustration, Morong Yunhai asked the elder to snatch his daughter if he had the capability since he could not prevent his daughter from her desire. The elder ceded in anger after seeing Morong Yunhai kept a great god in his sect. Right then, the elder thought of his son and maybe he could also offer him to the senior. As if sensing the elder's sinister thoughts, Chen Pingan could not but tremble in horror. Chen Pingan felt his body turn cold and wondered what weird things the elder was thinking about. After hugging each other for a while, he asked the girl to let go of him. Contrary to his request, the girl tightened her hug and declared she would never let him go. Looking at the system display, Chen Pingan could only sigh after discovering there was no normal person in the sect the system threw him. Fortunately, his task to join the mountain sect had been completed. Chen Pingan then discussed his job and found out he was only needed once the sect made some important decisions or encounter unsolvable difficulties. In the end, Chen Pingan directly asked if they could fly him back home. Later, they brought Chen Pingan back to his home with a teleportation formation. However, seeing his depressed expression, Morong Yunhai was shocked. Although they traveled so fast, in the senior's eyes, it was as slow as turtle speed. Unknown to them, Chen Pingan was complaining inside how the speed was too fast and he did not feel that he had flown. Walking inside, he asked everyone to come and have tea before they leave. Sighing in relief, Morong Yunhai asked if he could arrange a better place, to which Chen Pingan politely declined since he could not leave his fish and chickens. Right then, the surrounding aura intensified. The chicken revealed a glimpse of its might. Everyone's eyes widened as they felt their bodies freeze in terror. Noticing their unsightly expressions, Chen Pingan asked if something was wrong. While wiping away their cold sweat, they answered Chen Pingan they were all right and only felt out of breath for a moment. Realizing it was a bunch of weak humans, the chicken turned its head away in boredom. Chen Pingan hurriedly proceeded to prepare tea and asked everyone to tour his courtyard while they wait. Everyone pleaded for Chen Pingan not to go, but their cries were all for naught. Horrified looks appeared on their faces as they realized it was all over. They had never experienced what they had witnessed today. A peach tree that was surrounded by chi. A fish pond surrounded by chi. Chickens surrounded by chi. Even the broom rhymes with chi. It was a whole courtyard overflowing with chi. Looking around, Morong Shui was terrified and her father believed the senior was testing them, so they needed to hold on. At this moment, with all the terrifying treasures around, everyone was at the end of their ropes. A second later, an expression of pain appeared on Morong Shui's face. She felt her chest tighten and called for her father with great difficulty. Right then, Chen Pingan's light cough was heard. In an instant, the terrifying entities in the courtyard broke into cold sweats. The pressure they emitted vanished without a trace and everyone immediately felt relieved. Morong Yunhai suggested they should check the ancestor even though he volunteered to prepare their tea. Everyone agreed to him and proceeded to walk inside. After he opened the door, he saw Chen Pingan, who was choked by the tea, and called out for him. Chen Pingan told them to sit down since the tea had just been brewed. Turning around, he saw everyone's pale expressions as sweat trickled down faces. He wondered if they had done some exercise in his yard. He thought about it and concluded they would not be so tired since his yard was small. Looking at the girl's tired appearance, Chen Pingan assumed she was the culprit. With a slight blush on his face, he dismissed his thoughts and poured everyone's cup of tea. The energy fluctuating around the tea gleamed with heavenly radiance, capturing everyone's mind. They assumed the tea was some elixir and its might should be comparable to the ancestor's kitchen knife. As he brought the tea and took a whiff of its aroma, he was instantly invigorated. Everyone's spirit was lifted. The spiritual root determines the speed and purity of spiritual energy absorption. Without hesitation, Morong Shui drank her tea. Seeing various expressions on their faces, Chen Pingan wondered if something was wrong with his tea's taste. The next second, no one waited no more and drank their tea as though they had been dehydrated for many years. Soon, everyone asked for a refill. After they heard their ancestor saying there was not enough, everyone felt their hearts ache and cried in despair. Chinpingan scratched his head and reasoned he had drunk all the water and now there was nothing left. The elder suddenly smiled and reached for his storage ring. The next moment, the elder raised his hand, proclaiming the water had arrived. Anger appeared on Chinpingan's face and sent everyone out. Outside, he waved them away and said drinking too much would harm their health. After they bowed and thanked him for his teaching, Chinpingan looked at their departing backs and wondered what he had taught them. Now that they were out of his sight, he sighed and decided to go shopping in the town for some food to eat. In another place, the sun blazed with scorching heat. An old man glanced at the sky and noticed a sign of epiphany. He was the former ancestor of the mountain sect, and at this moment, he decided to watch the sun for a chance to break through the bottleneck. Right now, he could not make any mistakes. Soon, the sun was moments until its apex. The old man cleared his thought and focused his mind. Right then, his chance had come and he was almost there. At that moment, however, a loud voice called out, resulting in him vomiting a mouthful of blood. The old man's aura surged chaotically as heard the man who arrived proclaim he brought some great news. The man was Morong Yunhai, and after noticing something amiss, he carefully asked the old man why he was upset. In an instant, the old man unsheathed his blade. With anger bursting uncontrollably in his heart, a golden silhouette of a lion materialized on his back as he charged forward, proclaiming he had bad news for Morong Yunhai. Morong Yunhai was beaten by his father and his screams could be heard from miles away. Zhang Qingxian and Morong Shue were awkwardly watching from the side, thinking the old man was happy to see his son. Soon, the beating stopped. Morong Yunhai told his father that the senior could help him break through. His father sat tiredly. He told that his cultivation was destroyed by Morong Yunhai. However, he was unconvinced, so his father dared him for a bet. Everyone then agreed and each of them announced their net worth as their bets. Their confidence alarmed Grandpa Morong. Seeing him fall silent, Morong Yunhai dared him again. In the end, he slapped Morong Yunhai's face and asked him to lead the way. Soon, they arrived outside Chinpingan's courtyard. Grandpa Morong was disappointed at the shabby place. Learning that Chinpingan regards himself as immortal, Grandpa Morong commented it was only a play of a liar. He stepped inside. At that instant, his body trembled and his eyes flew up in despair. Morong Yunhai and his daughter immediately called out to him with worried faces. Grandpa Morong fell on his knees, discovering he had entered an immortal's residence. He was horrified as the pressure made him unable to move. Suddenly, a bright light appeared out of thin air. A red-haired man dashed toward everyone. The chicken on the side was startled and immediately asked the man to stop. The red-haired man missed Grandpa Morong, who was dumbfounded, by a hair's breadth. Before he could stop, his momentum generated a whirlwind. Amidst the smoke, Morong Yunhai recognized the red-haired man. It was Chinpingan's kitchen knife. Grandpa Morong, who had just witnessed his life flash before his eyes, wondered what kind of treasure was the kitchen knife. Kitchen knife wanted to cut Grandpa Morong since he concluded he was not a good person and it would be better to cut him off. The chicken answered that the old man was a fool and after being cut, he would become more stupid. When the kitchen knife lets Grandpa Morong go, he was shocked after seeing something beyond an immortal weapon and the chicken, which is supposed to be the king of beasts, the phoenix. Soon the kitchen knife closed his eyes. He turned into a wisp of light, and he warned Grandpa Morong to behave or he would be killed. Before Grandpa Morong could reply, the kitchen knife went back inside. Grandpa Morong immediately bowed at the chicken for its mercy. On the side, Morong Yunhai asked his father about the bet. With an annoyed face, Grandpa Morong approached his son. With a slap, he scolded Morong Yunhai for not caring for his father's life. Morong Shue immediately calmed Grandpa Morong and told him to bear with it and wait for the senior to come back. Outside, Chinpingan saw the group had returned. However, he did not want to make tea for them. Thinking of this, he wondered if he should hide. Morong Shue noticed some movements nearby. She turned to look and saw Chinpingan, who was walking the other way, and called him. Chinpingan looked back, asking why they came back so soon and if he could do something for them. Morong Shue then showed her grandpa to him. Seeing Grandpa Morong kneeling on the ground, Chinpingan was alarmed since the old man was the true ancestor of the mountain sect. He could not afford to offend the old man, so he quickly walked over. Morong Yunhai noticed Chinpingan approaching and warned his father to control himself once he saw the lingering key around him. Grandpa Morong turned his head and noticed someone. However, his whole body instantly trembled. He was stronger than everyone around and noticed the key of Chinpingan all over the place. When Chinpingan greeted Grandpa Morong, the old man kowtowed at the same time. It was another mess. Chinpingan immediately helped the old man stand. Despite the pressure, Grandpa Morong now understood that Chinpingan wanted to cultivate himself as immortal. After settling the old man down, he invited them inside. Everyone was excited to drink another cup of tea. It was then Chinpingan showed them a basket of vegetables. He would make a meal this time. Morong Shui was instantly delighted. At the dining table, everyone had a pouty face. Embarrassed, Grandpa Morong told them he will pay them once they went back. Morong Yunhai replied he did not care about the spirit stones. Suddenly, Grandpa Morong felt tremendous suppression, and his head was forcefully smacked down against the table. He realized he had touched a pitcher which was a treasure. After carefully looking around, he discovered that the table was filled with treasures. Morong Yunhai immediately laughed, making the old man erupt in anger. And in the end, he was helpless. This time, Chinpingan sneezed. And the meal was almost finished cooking. Nonetheless, he was choking because of the pepper. Outside, Morong Shui immediately smelled the aroma. Zhang Qingxian then felt an incredible power bursting within him. In the next second, he had broken through. Everyone was in disbelief. They greedily smelled the aroma and found it filled with aura. Soon, the meal was served. Everyone was immediately mesmerized. Chinpingan hoped they would be polite, but right now, he had a bad feeling. Fortunately, he cooked a lot of rice. He went to get the rice with a happy smile, but when he came back, he was immediately petrified. Everyone's mouth was filled to the brim, and after seeing him, they instantly requested another bowl. Their words had now pissed him off. He was confused and shocked. The girl did not even pay attention to her image. And soon, all the dishes were swept clean. The rice was also devoured. Everyone's stomach was now filled to the brim. He was thoroughly petrified as he looked at the plates which were licked clean. Everyone also had a breakthrough in their respective cultivation. Grandpa Morong could not help but be emotional. He immediately kowtowed to express his gratitude, but Chinpingan was confused, and told Grandpa Morong that what he had done was not worth gratitude. The old man was immediately excited and asked to eat his food again. Now, he was totally annoyed, so he directly threw them outside. Morong Yunhai told his father not to say such a shameless thing. As a result, the old man sent him a slap. He was only excited and accidentally said such words, and he was assured that the senior would not be angry. Unknown to them, Chinpingan was tremendously angry for their shamelessness. He did not even take a single bite of rice. In the forest, the old man then walked away and told everyone to cultivate. Everyone behind immediately laughed. He was further embarrassed. Fortunately, his granddaughter agreed with him, although within his mind, he knew how good it was to only eat and become stronger. The old man instructed to tell the sect members about the new ancestor. Right then, Zhang Qingxian received an emergency message, telling him not to return to the sect. It was his father's voice. Grandpa Morong thought it was the 1,000 words of secret voice. Zhang Qingxian affirmed and said it was the most urgent contact method of his sect. In the illusionary moon sect, thunder rumbled and lightning flashed in the sky. A man wanted to bury the old man in front of him with his sect for destroying his legs. Zhang Xiaofeng, now on his knees, reasons he only punished the man for annihilating a whole village and did not kill him directly. The man questions if he was not afraid to die. Zhang Xiaofeng answers there was no harm in death. He was glad since his son, who was not present today, would avenge him. But right then, his son happily called out to him, which made him throw up a mouthful of blood. He immediately scolded his son, asking if he returned for dinner. His son answers it would be unjustifiable for him not to come after such an event. Then he mysteriously smiles. The one who came was only in the first stage of the divinity realm. His father was confused. Even the man on the flying platform believes it was not easy to call another divinity realm person like him. But the next second, his heart pounded out of his chest the moment Grandpa Morong appeared on his back. He questions who it was. Grandpa Morong extended his hand. It blazed and he placed it on the man's petrified face. The flame then erupted, leaving the man helpless. Zhang Xiaofeng then asks his son who the man was. It's Uncle Morong, who was in the same realm as the man he had killed. Grandpa Morong stepped out of the mess. He tells everyone it is fortunate he came in time. Zhang Xiaofeng then realized it was his fellow and asks how he became strong. With a nostalgic look, he prepared to start a long story. But when he remembers he lose the bet because he did not believe at first, he is embarrassed. He could only tell directly about an immortal living within his sect's jurisdiction. And after eating the immortal meal, he achieved a breakthrough. Zhang Xiaofeng wanted to see the senior. Grandpa Morong asks why his friend did not suspect. He then answers that his son's power had increased despite being trash, and with their years of friendship, he would believe his words. Grandpa Morong tells him that he just left the senior's house and it would not be very good to bother him. Zhang Xiaofeng reveals a face full of doubt. He asks if he was being lied to, but they suddenly felt a sudden change. The spiritual pressure startled everyone. Grandpa Morong realized it was coming from the senior's place. He was excited to have another dinner and grabbed his friend to go. They immediately disappeared on the spot. Left alone, Zhang Qingxian could only wish to be taken. In Chen Pinggan's yard, the chicken detected some trouble. It then heard the sounds of the old men whispering to each other. Zhang Xiaofeng asks why he always talked about the dinner in the senior's house. He then looked at the sky. It was a huge hole called Chi Quake, and a secret cave might appear. It would produce a secret realm and raise the entire town to the ground. He wonders if the senior did it. Grandpa Morong denies it since the senior cultivates as a mortal. He then turns around to leave, deciding to save as many people as possible. Right then, a rumble sounded on the pond within Chen Pinggan's courtyard. The old men immediately looked back. This time, a dragon's head emerged from the pond. The next second, it flew outside, charging toward the black hole in the sky. The dragon coiled and bit the black hole. Zhang Xiaofeng was amazed. Grandpa Morong tells him there was also a phoenix together with it. He was stunned in place. Only an immortal emperor can command both terrifying entities. In a nearby forest, the space rippled. A sword then emerged out of it. It escaped from the immortal world. Right then, Chen Pinggan found it. The sword thought he would be crushed by its aura since he was just a mortal. But the next moment, the sword was shocked. Chen Pinggan held it with ease. And after taking a good look, the sword was frightened. Chen Pinggan was a terrifying entity in its eyes. The sword wonders how could there be a strong man in the mortal world. Noticing the sword's trembling, he thought it was a magic weapon. He put it in his basket and sell it later for a good price. The sword was insulted since many strong people wanted to serve it in the past. Seeing the medicines were only first grade, the sword was further disappointed. It now believes Chen Pinggan is just a mortal. It further thinks that since it was injured, it was easily picked up. But right then, the sword was stunned. The Ho looked at it as though it was an ant. Chen Pinggan notices his basket's movement. He wonders why it moves around. Inside the basket, the Ho told the sword not to move. The sword immediately followed the command, addressing the Ho as the big boss. It then realized that the Ho was an artifact. Chen Pinggan glances at the sky and also notices the black hole. Nearby, the old men and other cultivators approached the black hole while riding on their flying swords. Right then, the black hole buzzed. Grandpa Morong immediately stopped everyone. The next second, the hole widened, and a pillar of light beamed toward the ground. Chen Pinggan saw this scene, and wonders if it was the so-called secret realm. A new task appeared. He hoped it would not ask him to solve the situation. Contrary to his expectation, it was only a lottery reminder. He was relieved. Knowing it was not related to the beam of light, he decided to draw. The button lights up. A small portal materializes before him. After the extraction, a flute then appeared. He was happy to receive the item. Deciding to try it at home, he put the flute in his basket. The sword immediately noticed the flute. It was another artifact. It could only pray that everything was an illusion. In Chen Pinggan's home, his things were in a corner. The sword was now petrified. The whole hose was full of artifacts. The peach tree was greater than the ones the immortal emperor owns. Goldfish in the pond was stronger than his dragon. The chickens were stronger than his phoenix. Chen Pinggan's tools looked at the sword with disdain, declaring they would destroy it if not for their master. After hearing that the sword insulted their master as a mortal, another pot scolded the sword angrily. On the corner, the sword could only beg mercy for being silly. In the nearby forest, Morong Shui chanted a spell. She then delivered a punch. However, her attack shatters after hitting the pillar of light. She immediately grunted in pain. Grandpa Morong tells her that even a second level of the divinity realm will be powerless against it. He then wonders if a secret word is needed for its entrance to appear. Zhao Xiaofeng thinks it will be troublesome and asks if they should inform the senior. However, Grandpa Morong believes that the senior wants them to solve it by themselves. He then says that later, the senior will probably come. At that moment, the air around them changes. Everyone is startled by this sudden gust of wind. In Chen Pinggan's house, he is complaining about the noise. Annoyed, he could not sleep and threw a tantrum. Hearing his master's sleep is troubled, Kitchen Knife decided to stop the disturbance. He then transforms into his humanoid form. Now, he has a mission to accomplish. The gust of wind continues to whirl around the pillar of light. Everyone immediately saw the incoming figure and thought it was the senior. Unknown to them, Grandpa Moron already knew it was Kitchen Knife. After he arrives, he is surprised to see the pillar of light. He finds it interesting, but he decides to destroy it nonetheless. He then gathers terrifying energy in his finger. The next second, a spirit sword shot through the sky. The crimson beam slashed at the pillar of light. After this, he discovers the pillar of light was trash. It easily cracked and fissures spread. Everyone hurriedly shields themselves from the shockwave. The terrifying force blasted the ground open. On the crater, a ball of light is seen amidst the smoke. Inside the ball of light, someone was held by chains. Suddenly, all her chains start to break. After a moment, she opens her eyes. Once she sat upright, she immediately smiled. Outside, Kitchen Knife immediately notices something unusual. While everyone is excited to check out what is inside, Zhao Xiaofeng discovers a frightening aura. And soon, everyone felt a devil's arrival. A delicate hand emerges from the ball of light. This scene immediately surprises Kitchen Knife. Eventually, she came out. She has arrived in the Tianyuan realm. Grandpa Moron was shocked after seeing the immortal girl. The next moment, however, he becomes excited after seeing another immortal. This time, Moron Shui grabs her grandfather's sleeve. After asking what to do, Grandpa Moron tells her that only the Kitchen Knife is their hope. He says hello to the little girl. He slowly approached her and asked about her identity. She is immediately angered after being called out. She jumped into the air, and she charged toward him with the intent to kill. He immediately chanted a spell, and cast it at her fist. Her attack stops midway and a hate-filled expression appears on her face. While smiling, he tells her that her cultivation is rubbish. Everyone is stunned by this sudden statement. He decided to probe her memories. The light flashed before her eyes. Her past was then revealed. She was facing a cruel man when she was a child. The palm strike hit her and she heavily fell. Kitchen Knife showed a hint of pity in his eyes. Right now, the girl has lost consciousness. He instructed everyone to keep everything a secret, and if something gets out, the consequences would be dreadful. Grandpa Moron immediately accepts the command. He believes that the girl would be thoroughly investigated. Looking at his granddaughter, he instructs to tell all disciples to keep the event secret. She worriedly receives the instructions. Since the area is devastated, she wonders if they could hide the news. Kitchen Knife comes back. The chicken immediately asks him why he brought the girl. He did not answer and called out to the peach tree. Its leaves rustled, and then it transforms into its humanoid form. Upon seeing the girl, her eyes suddenly widened. She was shocked after discovering the girl's past. A flower began to materialize in her palm. Soon, the flower bloomed. It was placed on the girl's head. After a moment, it enlarged and engulfed the girl inside. The girl's chaotic aura started to subside. Right then, the immortal sword took a peek outside. Its eyes instantly widened in surprise. The girl it saw was Su Ling, the immortal emperor's daughter. Time passed and the girl woke up. At that instant, the peach tree and the chicken find the girl cute. She wonders where she is. The peach tree taps the girl's forehead and says she is now in her home and the master will be her big brother. When the sword witnessed the scene, it inwardly laughed, thinking about the immortal emperor's situation right now. In the immortal realm, a token placed on the table emitted some mysterious smoke. The immortal emperor discovered his daughter had regained consciousness. He decided someone to find her. A group of men arrives before him. He commanded everyone to find his daughter and the reward will be that world's throne. Morning came into Chenpingan's house. But he is still slumped on his bed. It has been a while since he slept like a log. Right then, a small hand reaches for him, asking him to wake up. He opened his eyes and was surprised to be called brother. A cute girl appeared before him, telling him the sun was at its peak. He scrambled backward and asked the little girl's name and why she was in his room. The little girl introduced herself as Su Ling and her home was here. He thought the girl meant her home was his small town's location and he finds it impossible since he had not seen the cute girl in the past. He then taps her head and tells her he would take her to find her parents. As they are going out, he reminds her to follow him and not get lost. She approaches him and holds his hand, asking if he's alright. He is fine with it and he brings her to town, asking her to show him the direction of her house. An hour later, he is dumbfounded. They arrive at his house again. He immediately asks her if she remembered her parents' appearance. But she answers negatively and was about to talk about the peach tree. On the side, the peach tree immediately breaks into a cold sweat, and hurriedly throws a stone. It hit the little girl in the head, making her cry in pain. He was alarmed and asks her if she was okay. He immediately thought she hurt her head in the past and caused confusion in her memory. The little girl pouted and sadly asks him if he did not want her anymore. He hurriedly pats her head, denying her words, and decides to take care of her until her parents come. Right then, a voice was heard outside, asking if he is home. After opening the gate, Grandpa Morong introduced Zhao Xiaofeng, who wanted to meet the senior. Zhao Xiaofeng cups his fists and greets Chen Pingan, thanking him for his grace. He now verified the truth of how powerful the senior is. Chen Pingan scratches his face, wondering what is the meaning of the old man's words who he did not meet before. He thought that another person had come to his place. Su Ling breaks his thought and asks him who they were. Grandpa Morong is surprised and asks who is the little girl. He happily introduces her as his sister and an ordinary person like him. After his urging, the little girl then greets everyone. The old men were stunned after seeing another powerful person. Seeing the girl's aura, they could not believe she was just an ordinary person. She looks a lot younger than Morong Shui, who is the youngest genius in town. The old men believe the girl is another immortal cultivator. However, Grandpa Morong thinks it is normal since they are siblings and he could only imagine how powerful their parents are. Chen Pingan then invites the old men to eat and says it is fortunate since it is only the two of them, so the food will be enough. Zhao Xiaofeng politely declines, claiming it will be shameless to eat at the senior's house. But Grandpa Morong was quick to respond and agreed to Chen Pingan's invitation, covering his friend's mouth. Afterward, they entered the courtyard, and Su Ling immediately offered to cook for them. At the dinner table, Chen Pingan is surprised to know that the little girl knows how to cook and wonders how will it taste. He then reminds Grandpa Morong that there is a child and he should be mindful of how he eats. Grandpa Morong is stunned, and as Zhang Xiaofeng teases him, he retorts at his friend, telling him to control himself later if he has the ability. Right then, the aroma pervaded the air, and Su Ling came out with the meal she cooked. After opening the pot, a brilliant light shone from within. Zhang Xiaofeng immediately wonders if it is the legendary heavenly treasure. Later, both old men slump on their seats with their bellies bulging. The two devils finished another sack of his rice. Although he is unwilling to admit it, the girl's cooking skills are much better than his, so he asks her where did she learn to cook. She answers that she did not know but finds herself able to cook a lot of dishes. Hearing this, Chen Pingan is happy after thinking he did not need to cook again. The plate is even crying in joy after tasting a real meal. On the side, the kitchen knife could only complain about the noise. In the dining hall, Zhang Xiaofeng finally breaks through and reaches the first stage of divinity. Grandpa Morong is not only comfortable with the meal's good taste but it also solidified his cultivation. His tears trickled down his face as he remembered his granddaughter and thought she is so inferior to Su Ling, making him extremely envious. He grabs Chen Pingan and demanded an exchange, making another mess. In another place, Morong Shui suddenly sneezes. She wonders who is scolding her and thought of her father and grandfather who are gone when an important matter has cropped up. She then looks at the sky. A huge floating ship has arrived. After landing on the ground, the imperial princess Luo Lanqing came down and greets Morong Shui. She greets back and compliments Luo Lanqing, saying she is getting more and more beautiful. Luo Lanqing then approaches closer, looks at the massive breasts, and points out that Morong Shui is getting bigger and bigger, making her blush. Right then, another man comes down. He is Luo Xiaojie. Annoyance appeared on Morong Shui's face and asks the man why he came and immediately warns the princess to stay away from him. Luo Xiaojie quickly defends himself, saying he is a good man, and then whispers to Morong Shui that he would bully her again if she acts tough. Morong Shui pouts and retorts that she could beat him now and dares him to bully her again if he has the ability. Thereafter, she released a glimpse of her aura, making Luo Xiaojie jump back in surprise. He falls down on the ground and stammers, asking her why she is so strong now. With a smug look on her face, she insults him for being weak against her despite being one of the top 3 geniuses in the kingdom. Right then, the princess grabs Morong Shui's hands and asks her if the matter of her getting stronger is related to the spirit sword, which made Morong Shui confused. Luo Lanqing then reveals she came searching for it. She explains that a while ago, she came to an auction with her father and that night, they admired a mountain from the top of her attic. It is said that the mountain is a local attraction with countless natural treasures and resources and is also the basis for the development of the city. However, a spirit sword suddenly passed across the mountain. Luo Lanqing is dumbfounded and guesses the sword is deployed by a high-level cultivator when practicing martial arts. It cut off countless peaks but its power remained unchanged. She adds that not only she but many strong cultivators have arrived in order to search for the spirit sword. Murong Shui awkwardly reveals that it was not a spirit sword but sword intent sent by the spirit sword. Her words immediately made Luo Lanqing's eyes sparkle. Murong Shui then looks at Luo Xiaojie and hummed with annoyance. She grasps Luo Lanqing away to talk, leaving the man begging to come with them. And as they flew away, Luo Xiaojie could only call for them with immense sadness. While flying, Murong Shui tells the story about what had happened and completely forgot to keep the event secret. Luo Lanqing is in disbelief after hearing the news. After the princess asks if she is lying, Murong Shui denies it and decides to take the princess to meet the senior. Right now, Chen Pingan sits in his courtyard with a flute in hand and wonders if he still remembers the tune since it has been a long time since he played it. Suddenly, Murong Shui's head peeks at the gate and asks for permission to come in. He agrees and asks her the reason for coming. Murong Shui called Luo Lanqing, but right now she is completely scared. She senses the powerful eyes watching her and feels her whole being has been seen through. Murong Shui pats her shoulder to comfort her, assuring her that they are invited so they would not be harmed. She then pushed Luo Lanqing forward and introduces her to him. Luo Lanqing reveals a bashful look and stammers. She greets him and thought Chen Pingan really has a high cultivation level. She expects him to be a gray-haired old man and never thought he would be so young and handsome. Chen Pingan asked the girl to relax and she did not need to be polite to him. He thought that although he is being called senior, he really did not have the slightest strength. Behind the peach tree, Su Ling's head pokes out, asking who the visitors are. Seeing the little girl, Murong Shui immediately asks who she is, so he introduced Su Ling as his sister. The little girl greets the older sisters with a cute look on her face. Both of them are shocked at how strong his little sister is. But at the same time, they find her cute so they immediately hug her together. On the side, he coughs awkwardly, thinking it is not good to look at them despite it being a nice view. So he decides to continue his focus on his flute. And after a moment, he played the flute, and mesmerizing melodies spread in the courtyard. And it immediately caught Murong Shui's attention. She felt the melodies in her hands. Luo Lanqing realized that the melodies produce peak premonitions. The immortal sword heard this tune and is immediately startled. After listening for a while, its injury is almost healed. It did not expect Chen Pingan to also know premonitions and thought the artifacts are all there for his tunes. It believes that as long as it stays, it would become a divine artifact, so it decides not to leave and become the strongest artifact. The broom is enraged by the sword's mutterings and scolded it to shut up and stand aside. The sword could only quiver in terror, obeying Big Brother's command. Su Ling cheerfully claps and compliments Chen Pingan, making him happy. Luo Lanqing feels her strength and discovers she advances by so much with just a song. Murong Shui also got stronger and learns she did not understand yet how powerful the senior is. The girls sincerely bowed at him for his grace, but their gesture puzzles him, because he did not remember giving them any food. Right then, a hint of bashfulness appeared on Luo Lanqing's face. She says she could not repay for the great kindness, but she stammered on her words. He expects what she would say and waves his hand, telling her he has no need for her body. Eventually, Luo Lanqing could only walk away in depression. She scolded herself for thinking an immortal would want a lowly mortal like her. Right now, Chen Pingan is carefully analyzing the situation. He admitted he is too handsome, so the girls kept offering their bodies to him. In the forest, Luo Lanqing kept on crying after her first confession has been rejected, so Murong Shui comforts her, saying the senior is immortal and it is normal for him to look down on them. Sensing the subtle meaning in her words, Luo Lanqing asks if she confesses too, but Murong Shui hurriedly denies it and reasons she is not so shameful to say such things. Right then, Luo Lanqing reaches for her sleeve. She brought out a sound crystal she bought from an auction and reveals she had recorded the song on it. Murong Shui praises her brilliance and suggests finding a place to listen to the song again. Later, powerful tunes are emitted from the recording stone, and the girls are diligently meditating beside it. Murong Shui breaks through again and she could not help but exclaim they could become an immortal faster if they keep on listening to the tune. Luo Lanqing is also amazed and decides they would break through in one fell swoop. But this time, the sound crystal emitted a dazzling light. Luo Lanqing hurriedly threw it away and at the next moment, it exploded with a loud boom. The black smoke lingered and flooded the area, and their clothes are immediately torn apart. Luo Lanqing discovers the residue is corroding their clothes. This time, both of their gorgeous appearances turn to ruin. In another place, Luo Xiaojie snorts and mutters he is one of the 3 great geniuses in the kingdom, so the girls could not get away. He opens his hand and the princess's location is revealed. After staring for a while, he wonders why the girls are staying in the same area for a long time. Suddenly, he was shocked because their location and his tracking technique disappeared. Right then, the girls in tattered clothes sneakily ran behind him. Morong Shui steps on a tree branch and it snaps. Luo Xiaojie hears the sound, and as he turned around, he immediately noticed both of them. With a surprised expression, he asks them when did they arrive. Morong Shui quickly points at him, demanding he turns around as she threatened to kill him. His face reddened and then noticed both of the girls' strengths has improved a lot. As they climb the stairs in a panic, Luo Xiaojie believes their strength increased in the place they stayed for a long time, so he resolves to go there and see for himself. Later, he arrives outside Chenpingan's courtyard. Stepping inside, he mutters the place is not a big deal. But right then, the entities in the courtyard gleamed with powerful radiance. The surge of energy pounced at him and Luo Xiaojie immediately defended himself. However, he was quickly brought to his knees. He wonders what monsters would be so powerful that their aura could make him feel like he is being buried alive. But after a moment, he licked his lips, thinking it feels so good. Seeing the excited face, the chicken was instantly dumbfounded. The broom on the side even wonders if the man had some kind of fetish. In the forest nearby, Chen Pingan and little Su Ling just finished gathering some medicine, and since they dug a lot of yams, he decides to make snacks for the little girl later, instantly making her happy. As they arrive at the gate, he was confused to see Luo Xiaojie kneeling at the entrance. He wonders if he just trips over something. He asks Luo Xiaojie if he is okay. After Chen Pingan helps him to stand up, he notices that the suppression stopped at once and realized the man in front of him is the courtyard's owner. But when he raises his head to look, his eyes immediately flared up. He quickly fell to his knees again, pays his respect, and asks forgiveness for trespassing in the senior's yard by accident. With narrowed eyes, Chen Pingan asks if he is a relative of the Morong family, and since they visit him often, the mistake should not be taken to heart. Luo Xiaojie's eyes sparkled. He is sure Morong Shui did not mention him, but the senior knows his information just after a glance, making his deduction ability terrifying. Chen Pingan wonders if a kidney deficiency is a family-inherited disease, since everyone in the Morong family who came to his courtyard sweat a lot. Su Ling then appears on the side and tells Chen Pingan she would go in first. Seeing the little girl, Luo Xiaojie is horrified once more. Walking away, the girl hummed in disdain at Luo Xiaojie. He is instantly terrified and greets the little girl as his senior, prompting Chen Pingan to get irritated. He grabs Luo Xiaojie's hand. After helping him to his feet, he tells Luo Xiaojie not to overwork since his body is weak, and he should also maintain a balance between cultivation and rest. Observing he is unstable, Chen Pingan further suggests not to kneel for too long, saying there is not always a golden coin under a man's feet. Luo Xiaojie cups his fist and thought of Chen Pingan's words, and believes it is the senior giving some advice and clues to his problem. Although he is one of the 3 geniuses of the royal city, and his strength is similar to the other 2, he always has been suppressed by them. The most important difference is he did not have a martial art to support his body, and thinking about it, he discovers the senior is guiding him. Golden energy starts to whirl around his chest. It expands outwards as he concentrated, filling his body with mysterious ki. On the side, Chen Pingan is startled by the man's unusual moves. In the next second, he flew into the air with gusts of wind surging all over his feet. Chen Pingan is in awe of the powerful display of martial arts. On the air, Luo Xiaojie is amazed after creating 3 martial arts in one go, and although it is instructed by the senior, it is still a great feat that could only be achieved by a genius such as him. Suddenly, Chen Pingan shouts are heard from below, telling Luo Xiaojie to go back and pay attention to balance in life, make his body healthy, and not to kneel for too long and cause his blood to not circulate. The words puzzle Luo Xiaojie and he mutters if something is wrong. Right then, a sudden burst of energy interrupted the wind on his feet and nearly made him fall. He discovers there is a problem with his new martial art. Without hesitation, he flies away, thanking Chen Pingan for the advice. Looking at the disappearing figure, he wonders if reminding someone to invigorate the kidneys is also considered advice. Later, Chen Pingan and little Su Ling go out, and while they were walking, he asks what she would like to eat. The girl happily answers watermelon, which leaves him in confusion since she is asking for it again. Suddenly, he hears a couple of cultivators talking about a girl's location. After being asked if the girl is near, the other cultivator also answers it is true, and many others have come to the place to investigate. Seeing this scene, he is baffled why many cultivators have appeared. In the courtyard, the Peachtree blames the kitchen knife for his actions, which caused the cultivators to appear all over the place. The chicken also adds that if the people explore their place, their master's peace would be destroyed. Seeing kitchen knife remain silent, the fish points the blame again, asking the kitchen knife to solve the problem. In annoyance, kitchen knife could only condemn the immortal emperor for being rubbish, the trashiest immortal emperor he has ever seen, but the master did not ask him to go, so he could not go out now. Behind the door, the immortal sword peeking outside heard the words and is thoroughly amazed at its big brother's confidence. In the flash, kitchen knife appears before the sword and greets it with a smile. As the sword hid for his life, kitchen knife asks it to do something. Seeing that its injuries are almost recovered and it is now able to transform, kitchen knife commands it to go out and assess the situation and lead the others who came to explore elsewhere. The immortal sword wants to cry, but tears won't come out, so it could only plead to turn back. But kitchen knife firmly holds it down with a menacing aura. In the end, the immortal sword helplessly salutes, receives the orders, and declares to complete the task. And after a moment, a golden light streaks through the sky. Meanwhile, in the devastated place, the immortal sword arrives and assumes everyone would trace the damage from here. Since this is another ruin flattened by the beam of light from the immortal realm, the place will catch attention. The sword suddenly glows and transforms. Afterward, he determines to raise the place. In a flash, countless sword strikes are sent. The area is in complete ruins and the chaos has spread throughout, leaving devastation in its wake. He appears to be fulfilled and finds joy as he destroys the place more and more. At this moment, a group instantly sees the commotion and recognizes him as a humanoid celestial artifact. Immortal Sword also detects their arrival and smiles. When everyone wonders if they can catch the immortal treasure to be invincible in the world, the leader of Tianzuan Tower called Long Aotian replies he has a solution. He shows the treasure, Sleepy Immortal Formation, and together, they can activate it and trap the immortal treasure. Everyone immediately agrees to cooperate, and whoever the immortal treasure chooses as its master depends on their respective chances. At the same time, Immortal Sword appears to be interested in their plan. Long Aotian gestures a hand seal and a magic circle appears. Consequently, a vast magic circle appears on the ground beneath Immortal Sword. It has been a long time since he sees such a formation and is looking forward to it. 2 hours later, he grows bored. One of the old men falls to his knees as he can't hold on anymore. Another's chi is also exhausted and he is on the brink of collapse. But they persevere until the end. They raise their hands together and channel their last bit of chi. On the other hand, Immortal Sword feels annoyed watching them struggle with insufficient chi and rubbish cultivation bases. He could not help but ask them if he should let himself be trapped. It is worthy of being an immortal treasure, so Long Aotian clenches his teeth as his chi is about to be drained. Fortunately, the immortal treasure did not leave, and as long as his formation is working, he will have the best chance to be recognized as its master. Right then, the formation is finally done. Long Aotian braces himself for the last push. Chains abruptly come out from the formation, countless of them envelope Immortal Sword at the center. The next second, he is bound, rendering him unable to move. Long Aotian joyfully celebrates his success. Unfortunately, it is not enough. Right now, it is time for Immortal Sword's debut. Within a second, the chains break and the formation collapses. Long Aotian falls to his knees. The likes of him could not subdue the immortal treasure at all. Immortal Sword then declares he does not kill ants and he came down to find a destined master. He points at the mountains from afar, revealing he will show up on the mainland 1 month later. For the one who is destined, he will be the world's #1 and he will get a place in the immortal world, he promises, as he thought it will be enough to lead them away. Amidst the cultivators' fearful gazes, Immortal Sword flies away. As soon as he left the area, everyone sighs in relief. Death just passed by, even making one of them piss his pants. They decide to leave, supporting each other to spread the news. Long Aotian helplessly sighs at how big the world is. He thought someone who could rival him in the mortal world does not exist, but now he realizes it is only his ridiculous illusion. When he remembers his hometown is near, he decides to visit it since 100 years have already passed. Meanwhile, Chenpingyan's door slowly opens. Immortal Sword then peeks inside and called Big Brother, reporting the matter has been settled and the mortal cultivators will never come again. Kitchen Knife voices his praise and warns him to morph into an ordinary weapon, otherwise he will be obliterated once seen by the master. Immortal Sword feels horrified as he asks if he would be killed once he is seen using immortal power. Right then, the door opens again, making the Immortal Sword jump in fright. He hurriedly turns into a sword and stations himself in the corner as Chen Pingan and Su Ling entered inside. Looking in the sword's direction, Chen Pingan feels strange and wonders where is the axe he bought last time. At the same time, Immortal Sword notices Chen Pingan's chi has disappeared. He wonders if it is because of the cultivator's sudden influx, so he hid it. Right then, Chen Pingan glances at the sword. He picks it up and mutters he would try it today, which makes Immortal Sword confuse. Soon, however, he realizes he would be used for chopping down trees. Meanwhile, in a broken house, Long Aotian has a sense of nostalgia. He did not expect his old house to be still there. Hundreds of years have passed and his parents have already passed away many years. Right now, he is also old. However, after his return, he can still recall the good old days. Suddenly, his cultivation increased and he discerns cultivating the heart is also important for breaking the bottleneck. He used to think that cultivating heart is the right way, but now he finds it wrong. After a moment, he walks away, saying he does not belong in the place anymore. He then pauses and softly bids his parents goodbye. At this moment, he is determined to fulfill his promise to them back then, to become the strongest on the continent. Later, Long Aotian hears someone's soft grunts. Before his eyes, Chen Pingan chops a huge tree with a single slash. At the same time, Long Aotian is shocked to see the immortal treasure. Chen Pingan, on the other hand, holds the Immortal Sword closer as he admires how it is so convenient to cut trees with it. Long Aotian falls into a stupor after seeing a man chopping wood with an immortal weapon, and he could not help but wonder if he is hallucinating after being hit too hard a while ago. Similarly, the sword is in disbelief and his lifetime of wisdom in the immortal world becomes useless in an instant. He thinks it is fortunate that no one saw it, but before he could finish his wishful thought, he immediately sees someone's presence. His anger erupts as he sends a wisp of energy to attack Long Aotian. Consequently, the man falls in his butt and figures out that what he sees is not an illusion. Chen Pingan then sees him. He throws the sword as he approaches the old man with worry and asks if he is okay. Instead of answering, Long Aotian is shocked to see the sword being tossed away. He stands and asks why he is using such a weapon to chop wood, so Chen Pingan answers it is useless and now it is not. In the end, Long Aotian falls into his butt again. He is shocked beyond belief. After Chen Pingan picks up the last wood, he invites Long Aotian to his house to sit down for a while. However, his eyes are on the immortal weapon. Although the person before him has some sense, he did not have the slightest level of cultivation and appears to be a fool who treats an immortal weapon as an ordinary tool. Long Aotian feels confused and wonders if the immortal weapon recognizes him as its master. If that is so, he is baffled why it is not angry despite being used to chop wood. Right then, Chen Pingan exhales as he tightens the rope on his firewood. Afterward, he points at the sword and asks Long Aotian to retrieve it. He expresses uncertainty and asks if it is okay. Chen Pingan smiles and replies it is alright, telling him to be careful not to get cut. However, Long Aotian believes getting cut is not the problem. He feels he will be killed once he touches it. After a moment, he decides to hold it since it is an immortal weapon. He grabs it by the hilt, considering no one would decline such a request. Immortal Sword instantly erupted in anger, preparing to slash Long Aotian's neck. He closes his eyes as he desperately pleads for his life and reasons its master has requested it. Right then, Chen Pingan's light cough is heard and the sword immediately calms down, stunning Long Aotian. Chen Pingan then says his throat is dry after working for half the day. Afterward, he turns around, telling Long Aotian to follow him. Looking at his figure, Long Aotian could not believe he can make an immortal weapon obedient and is curious about who he is. In Chen Pingan's courtyard, the immortal sword is left alone with piles of wood. On the other hand, Chen Pingan invites Long Aotian to his house as he excuses for its shabbiness. However, Long Aotian is instantly taken aback and his eyes widen in astonishment. With a respectful bow, he immediately cups his fist and introduced himself as Long Aotian. When he thought of it, the immortal sword is the most useless existence compared with the courtyard, and it appears to him that Chen Pingan is cultivating his mind, since if he is just immortal, then Long Aotian will be worse than an ant. At that moment, Chen Pingan grumbles why he is called senior when a while ago he is a young man, so he approaches, telling him not to be polite, and at the same time, he assumes Long Aotian is a cultivator and asks if he knows the Morong Palace. As soon as he heard the words, Long Aotian is filled with amazement. The founder of his Tianzuan Tower comes from the Morong Palace, but he knows he ascended thousands of years ago. When he thought that Chen Pingan has figured out he is the current leader of the Tianzuan Tower, Long Aotian exclaims in admiration. However, Chen Pingan shows no concern and believes acting as such is the case for those related to the Morong family. Chen Pingan then calls for little Su Ling, so she pokes her head out and shows an excited expression at her brother's return. She also greets Long Aotian and addresses him as grandpa, making the old man stupefied. The girl is so cute but also so strong. Meanwhile, Chen Pingan asks for the watermelon, but the girl did not want to share it, so he pats her head and he tells her not to be selfish. She glares at Long Aotian as she invites him to come in. Upon seeing little Su Ling's undisguised hatred, he starts to think twice if he should enter. He could only think of a compromise. It is getting late, so Long Aotian reasons he would leave first since he has something important to do, which makes Chen Pingan perplexed. Long Aotian cups his fist and emphasizes the urgency once more. So Chen Pingan did not force him to stay and instead asks for a treasure that can lower the temperature. Long Aotian replies he has one and claims it might not be a treasure in front of the senior's eyes. However, as long as it can cool down the temperature, Chen Pingan is fine with it, so he asks if it is for sale, but Long Aotian replies it is of little use and he will bring it tomorrow for the senior. Chen Pingan is pleased and invites Long Aotian to a meal again. However, little Su Ling's fierce glares frighten him. Flustered, he hastily waves his hands and states he has something important to do. Without hesitation, he takes his leave and flies away. Su Ling appears delighted for sending the old man, while Chen Pingan is surprised as to what matter is so important. The day passes and the next morning comes. Chen Pingan opens his eyes to Su Ling's wake-up call. However, it is so early and he begs her to let him sleep a little more. The little girl pouts and states his promise to buy a dress for her. Having remembered the task, he decides to leave his bed and go with her. While they walk away, the immortal sword is excited upon their departure. He is tired of keeping his disguise all the time. Right then, he notices some unfamiliar energies. Above the sky, another small group of cultivators has arrived. It appears that his yesterday's treatment of them is not enough. Thinking he should make his big brother satisfied, he flies away, saying he will be back. The kitchen knife notices something is not right. It appears to him that the situation is unusual. Meanwhile, in the site of destruction, Immortal Sword finds it strange since he feels the newcomers, but he sees no one around. Right then, someone reveals he can smell a familiar scent in the mortal world. Immortal Sword is shocked to see the other party. Unpleasant memories resurface in his mind. The face of his attacker is the same as the one before him. It is a man with the golden plume immortal artifact. While Immortal Sword is somewhat at a loss, the man expresses his greetings. He then realizes he is from the Blood Moon Sect. With so many mortal worlds, he believes it is impossible to find his exact position so quickly. Upon being asked how he did it, the man reveals Immortal Sword has his chi and dantian marked early on. As long as he uses chi, he can be traced through spells, so concedes it is because of his yesterday's blow that leaked the energy. He underestimated their degree of desiring him, so he determines to run away. But his plan is seen through as the man draws out a talisman. He gestures a hand seal and activates the Imperial Imprisoning Array. A golden beam flashes from the sky, entrapping Immortal Sword within. He falls to the ground and his knees turn numb. It is the same familiar array customized to overpower him. If it is not for the sealing array to hinder his chi, trash like the man before him and the trashy sect behind him could not have done anything to him. The man laughs and retorts that despite being trash he can make an Immortal Sword powerless, unable to resist, making surrender the only option. Immortal Sword shows his pity for the ignorant garbage as he reveals that there is a mortal in the world far superior to anyone. The man feels surprised and questions the meaning behind his words. So Immortal Sword confirms it with a smile. He has never seen the strength of anyone close to Chen Pingan. Even if he can't reach their level, he feels it is already a luxury to follow them. Immortal Sword forces himself to stand. He arrogantly postures and insults the man as just a scum on the ground, not good to be called rubbish at all. The man's expression twists in annoyance and gestures a hand seal. The sky twinkles with brilliance. Afterward, a beam of light descended upon Immortal Sword. It is the skill called Hour of Judgment. It pierces through his chest, causing him to spit a mouthful of blood. As expected, he discovers he is still not qualified since the senior would have intervened by now if they want to save him. He knows the big brothers are unable to leave the yard because of the restriction. It appears to him that his end is about to come. Meanwhile, the Peachtree emphasizes they can't go out with the master's orders, but that is something he knows already. Leaving the yard without permission won't just turn them into immortal but will also completely destroy them, so the chicken convinces Kitchen Knife not to be reckless. However, despite knowing the consequences, it is he who sent Immortal Sword. So even if he dies, Kitchen Knife resolves to save him. A moment later, a twinkle of red light can be seen in the sky above the ruined place. The red light zooms into the ground, causing debris to fly away. The man is shocked to see someone with such a strong aura. Within the center of the cloud of smoke, Kitchen Knife appears. When he gets angry, even the gods and Buddhas have to kneel down, but now a little worm from the immortal realm dares to incur his wrath. Slumped on the ground, Immortal Sword worriedly called out to his big brother. Kitchen Knife questions how can a rubbish formation trap him. Without waiting for a reply, he flicks the formation. Afterward, a shockwave spreads all over the place as the formation shatters smoothly. The man frightfully proclaims he is the elder of the Blood Moon sect in the immortal realm and questions Kitchen Knife for intervening in his business. Kitchen Knife's finger erupts with a powerful wisp of energy. A word beam flashes as he questions the man if he is even worthy. Within a blink of an eye, the man's head bursts into nothing. Immortal Sword is worried because his big brother came out, but Kitchen Knife shuts him up, telling him to come back. The words stun Immortal Sword in place. After a moment, a warm current flows into his heart and he smiles gratefully. Back in Chinpingan's courtyard, everyone waits in front of the door. Anxiety is painted all over their faces. Meanwhile, Kitchen Knife can be seen kneeling inside the house. There is an apparition of a lady before his eyes. "You broke the taboo," she utters with her back against him. At the same time, in the immortal Blood Moon sect, an attendant addresses a man as the sovereign as he reports Zhou Hu's life card explosion. The man is astonished upon hearing the news. He wonders who can kill a person from the immortal realm, and after thinking it is about the one who could break a light beam from the immortal emperor, he believes it should be someone comparable. He suddenly smiles. It seems that he will soon be able to share the world with the immortal emperor. Meanwhile, Chinpingan returns to his courtyard with little Su Ling as he asks her if she has fun buying a bag full of new clothes. Su Ling is delighted and answers it is a great day. Waiting at the gate, Long Aotian greets them. Chinpingan is surprised to see him and asks why he was waiting outside so long. Aotian replies it is difficult to go in. He then brings out the topic of the thing that could lower the temperature as he presents the mysterious sky ice crystal Chinpingan desires. He is instantly delighted and suggests Long Aotian should come and sit inside when he comes again. Entering the courtyard, Chinpingan further insists on Long Aotian's stay since yesterday he is in a hurry. Outside Chinpingan's courtyard, a brilliant golden light suddenly descended. The source of the light was none other than the immortal emperor himself. Puzzled, he questioned why he was unable to sense the cultivation base of the immortal realm that he had just detected moments ago. With this thought in mind, he cautiously pushed open the door to the courtyard, wondering if the answer lay within. What he saw inside left him completely astonished. Meanwhile, Long Aotian is enjoying the benefits of his meals, which are specifically designed to improve his cultivation. Notably, even the tea he is served has the potential to enhance his spiritual roots. After drinking it, Long Aotian is surprised to find that his bottleneck has disappeared, and he realizes that he has been given a tremendous opportunity. He wonders if Chinpingan is expressing his gratitude for the crystal by providing him with these special meals. Looking at the crystal, which is being used as a freezer for watermelons, Long Aotian remarks on the peculiarity of Chinpingan's methods. However, Chinpingan did not expect the crystal to be so effective, and he has been wanting a refrigerator for quite some time now because he finds iced watermelon to be particularly delicious. Chinpingan places the watermelon on the table and encourages Long Aotian to eat it without hesitation. However, Long Aotian begins to have second thoughts when he notices that little Su Ling is glaring at him with undisguised hatred. In response, Chinpingan hits Su Ling on the head and reprimands her for being rude to their guest. He also warns her against eating too much iced watermelon as it can cause diarrhea. Su Ling sadly holds her head and agrees to abide by Chinpingan's instructions. As Long Aotian reached for the watermelon, he declared he would help himself. Afterward, he held the watermelon close to him and stammered a thank you. Given that he believed the tea and meals were magical, he assumed the watermelon must be too. Taking a bite of the watermelon, an explosion occurred within his dantian, which is a sign of a breakthrough to the earth immortal realm. Surprised by this sudden change, he wondered how an ordinary watermelon could have such an effect. It crossed his mind that it might have been the powerful kitchen knife, and when the watermelon was cut, It was infected with the chi of the kitchen knife. At this moment, the kitchen knife felt very slimy and uncomfortable, wondering when he could take a wash. After finishing the watermelon, Long Aotian thanked Chinpingan for the opportunity and the unpayable great grace. He promised to do his best in the future, as his breakthrough would produce a huge burst of energy. Furthermore, he couldn't afford to provoke Chinpingan by destroying the house. So, he stood up, said he had important matters to attend to, and ran away, making Chinpingan ask why he was anxious again. As Long Aotian opened the door, he saw a man kneeling on the ground in front of him and wondered who he was. The immortal emperor noticed that Long Aotian was unaffected by the pressure of the yard and tried to call out. However, Long Aotian didn't wait any longer, passed, and asked for forgiveness, stating he was not free. While Long Aotian's back was departing, the immortal emperor looked at him and realized he was about to break through into the earth immortal realm. However, he didn't seem to be the master of the place. Chinpingan called out to Long Aotian and asked him not to run far, as there was a toilet in his home. When the immortal emperor heard Chinpingan's voice, he was instantly shocked. He looked at Chinpingan, who resembled the body of the Tao. At this moment, the immortal emperor realized why the yard was full of terrifying existence. As it turned out, he had accidentally broken into the treasured land of an expert. However, he wondered why such an expert would be in the mortal world. Surprised, Chinpingan asked the immortal emperor why he had stumbled into the yard, wondering if it was because the threshold of the home was too high. In disbelief, the immortal emperor saw the Taoist rhythms of the immortal emperor on Chinpingan. He wondered if he was in a game of chess involving hundreds of millions of lives, where people were the chess pieces, and the world was the chessboard. It seemed that two seniors were simply playing, and he was just a pawn to them. Chinpingan wore a worried look as he asked about the immortal emperor's condition and inquired about any possible injuries. He also expressed his intention to change the threshold later. Since the immortal emperor was wearing luxurious clothing, Chinpingan believed he was a powerful person and did not want to provoke him. The immortal emperor introduced himself as Xiasui and kowtowed, which shocked Chinpingan since he was also a cultivator. When Chinpingan heard the name Sui, he found it familiar and asked if the immortal emperor was looking for Su Ling. The immortal emperor, in turn, asked if Su Ling was inside. Although hesitant at first, Chinpingan eventually thought that he should give in since he assumed that the father had come to the door, and he did not want to be perceived as a kidnapper. Firstly, he helped the immortal emperor to get up. Subsequently, they entered the house. Afterward, Chinpingan pointed at Xiasui and asked Su Ling to check if he was her father. However, Su Ling claimed she had never seen him and had no memory of him. Consequently, Xiasui was full of questions and asked if Su Ling was really his daughter. In response, Su Ling replied she did not know him. Chinpingan stared at Xiasui and asked what the matter with him was. Eventually, Chinpingan asked if he was really her father, but Xiasui stammered and felt conflicted. When asked about Su Ling, Xiasui explained that she had been cursed by a ruthless immortal venerable. As a result, he had no choice but to trap her in the secret realm for thousands of years. Xiasui then wondered if the seniors counted the fate of each chess piece, but he knew he was just an insignificant ant and Su Ling was merely a pawn to them. Feeling frustrated, Xiasui clenched his fist and declared that he would not hide the fact that he had been separated from Su Ling for a while. Believing that Su Ling should be more mature, Xiasui couldn't help but have doubts about her appearance. Chinpingan noticed this and questioned why Xiasui didn't even remember his own daughter. This made Chinpingan start to doubt Xiasui's identity as Su Ling's father, and he asked where her birthmark was. When Xiasui answered that Su Ling had a snowflake-like birthmark on the back of her neck, it turned out to be correct. This revelation shocked Chinpingan, who then realized that Xiasui was actually Su Ling's father. After tapping her head, Chinpingan asked Su Ling whether she wanted to stay or go with Xiasui since she didn't have any memory of her father. Su Ling chose to stay, and Chinpingan suggested that perhaps her memory of Xiasui was missing after they separated. He then asked Xiasui if he would be willing to let Su Ling stay with him. Since Su Ling was at the right age to study, Chinpingan offered to take care of her and share his knowledge with her. Xiasui was surprised by Chinpingan's generosity and willingness to teach Su Ling everything. Xiasui kowtowed and expressed his gratitude, while Chinpingan replied that Xiasui didn't have to thank him. Chinpingan also wondered why Xiasui was trying so hard and thought that perhaps Xiasui had heard that he used to teach in the town. Meanwhile, in a forest nearby, Long Aotian's aura was surging. He made a hand seal, and his energy burst outward, uprooting all the trees around him. With the breakthrough successful, he finally stepped into the Earth Immortal realm. At that moment, Xiaosui approached and expressed his congratulations to Long Aotian for the breakthrough. After Long Aotian cupped his fist, he expressed that during the senior's visit, he was on the verge of a breakthrough and thus could not fulfill the expected courtesies. He hoped for the senior's forgiveness. In response, Xiaosui offered reassurance that the issue was not a problem because they both shared a relationship with the senior. Moreover, he suggested that if Long Aotian was interested, they could refer to each other as brothers. Long Aotian agreed and thought the relationship was even better than getting an immortal artifact, making his trip here not a loss. Xiaosui held Long Aotian's shoulder and told him to inform him when he reached the immortal realm. Long Aotian got the guidance of the senior, and Xiaosui was sure that he would break through the infant immortal realm very soon. Xiaosui gave Long Aotian a token as their meeting proof so he could go to any big city or clan when he shows it, or he could directly come to the Immortal Empire to meet him. Long Aotian introduced himself and asked Xiaosui's name. Xiaosui introduced himself and added that everyone in the Immortal Realm calls him the Immortal Emperor. Long Aotian commented that Xiaosui's name was good and even repeated his compliment twice. However, he suddenly snapped when he realized Xiaosui was the Immortal Emperor. Later, Xiaosui returned to the Immortal Realm and was still in disbelief as he could now see his daughter with Chenpingan's help. Even though he was only allowed to visit once a month, he praised Chenpingan for being a good person. Right then, Xiao Zhao, the sovereign of the Blood Moon sect, appeared. Upon his arrival, he kowtowed as a greeting, prompting Xiaosui to ask what had happened, as he couldn't believe that Xiao Zhao had actually come. In response, Xiao Zhao replied that he wondered if the Immortal Emperor had found Fairy Su Ling. Nevertheless, Xiaosui walked away, leaving Xiao Zhao behind. He answered that he had not found her yet, causing Xiao Zhao to exclaim in surprise. Despite his shock, he offered to send help and declared that she must be found. However, Xiaosui sent him flying and sternly told him to get out. After Xiao Zhao crashed into a pillar, producing cracks all over it, Xiaosui reminded him that from today onwards, if he dared to come to his residence again, he would be killed on sight. In addition, Xiaosui emphasized that it didn't matter if Xiao Zhao was looking for immortal weapons or whatever, but if he found someone from his clan dared to go down to the mortal world, he would destroy his whole clan. When Xiaosui was kneeling in Chenpingan's yard, he felt the breath of the golden plume immortal artifact. Fortunately, the senior did not blame him for it. Nevertheless, Xiao Zhao should be dreaming if he thought he could share the world with Xiaosui. Meanwhile, in the mortal world, specifically in the central city of Light Shushan Immortal Academy, there was a commotion as a Confucian sage talent arrived. As everyone scrambled to get into position, a man entered the room and ordered them to keep quiet. Despite the presence of the Confucian sage talent, the man, who was the Shushan Immortal Academy dean, proceeded to lecture the disciples about maintaining their composure. However, the disciples thought otherwise, considering that the dean himself had shown up in the middle of his bath and was in no position to lecture them. After being called out, Xingguo Zimo presented himself. Upon seeing his talent, the dean questioned if he learned from childhood or if a teacher had advised him. Zimo answered that he started learning at the age of 13. Moreover, he has consulted with Mr. Chen in the town for the past 4 years. He believes that Mr. Chen's knowledge is beyond the sky. In fact, he thinks that if Mr. Chen had cultivation skills, he would at least be immortal. The dean was curious and asked Zimo to read any poems Mr. Chen wrote as he had never heard of him. The dean did not know which wild man was lucky enough to pick up the talented treasure. He hopes Mr. Chen did not mess up the boy's chances. Right then, Zimo replied that Mr. Chen had written numerous poems. Therefore, he will read a poem that Mr. Chen gave him when he sent him off. Zimo started reciting the poem, and as a result, everyone who heard it felt their mind blown away to a mysterious place. However, Zimo stopped and was surprised to see the dean kneeling on the ground. Upon hearing the poem, the dean realized that the verse was profound and poetic, providing a vivid image of life with its vicissitudes. Consequently, he praised Mr. Chen for being worthy of teaching a Confucian sage talent and believed he was an incredible existence. The dean then asked Zimo where Mr. Chen lived and expressed his desire to pay him a visit soon. If possible, he wanted Mr. Chen to teach at the academy and even thought of making him the dean, rendering Zimo speechless. Finally, the dean grabbed Zimo's hand and departed to seek Mr. Chen. Meanwhile, Chenpingan received a new task to create a new sect, and it must be named Pingan. Chenpingan clenched the system notification and asked if it was messing with him. Despite the fact that he was previously asked to join the mountain sect, he was fortunate enough to be given a position of an ancestor by the Moral family. However, the system's new demand for him to create a sect made him angry. Although the system did not care and gave him a 2-month deadline, he felt as if the system was obviously playing him to death. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he decided to ask the Moral family for a favor. However, before he could do anything, he heard someone calling him outside the courtyard. Curious, he opened the gate and was surprised to see Zimo, who had returned from the city earlier than expected. Zimo greeted Chinpingan and introduced the dean, who was there to meet him. Chinpingan was shocked when he realized that the dean was one of the top figures of the continent. The dean introduced himself as Shin of the younger generation, which left Chinpingan astounded. As he looked at the dean, Chinpingan noticed that the dean was another person sweating. He felt that the dean should not kneel if it hurt. He realized that he was not related to the Moral family, yet all the top figures knelt down to him and called him senior. Chinpingan wondered when he had become invincible. Deciding to inquire about something from Dean Zhen, Chinpingan's aura looked menacing as he asked if he appeared to be very strong. The dean suddenly kneeled, begging for forgiveness. Chinpingan was shocked, but he just urged the dean to tell the truth. The dean wondered if Chinpingan was angry because his seclusion was disturbed. Additionally, he contemplated whether Chinpingan had descended to teach a talented disciple and enjoy mortal life in seclusion. Moreover, the dean believed Chinpingan calculated his intention to make him dean, which disturbed his seclusion. Nevertheless, since he is allowed to tell the truth, the dean answers Chinpingan had no power at all, adding he could not sense even the slightest bit of cultivation from him. The dean informed Chinpingan that he was perfectly mortal. Consequently, Chinpingan felt hurt upon hearing others rub it in. However, the dean advised Chinpingan not to be polite and to just go by the name Zhenteng or Little Zhen. Despite the dean's suggestion, Chinpingan declined his offer, which made him very uncomfortable. Observing the situation, Zimo noticed the dean's hand shaking and asked if he was in pain. The dean responded by saying he had gained enough from the meeting and proceeded to fly away with Zimo. Before leaving, he bid Chinpingan goodbye. Looking back, the dean noticed that Chinpingan did not attack him and believed that Chinpingan had let him off the hook. Fortunately, the dean knelt in time, otherwise, he would have faced unimaginable consequences for angering seniors. As the dean looked at Zimo, he suspected that Zimo was the reason he could escape and decided to focus on training him. Chinpingan stared into the distance. As he reflected on the situation, he realized that Zimo had read the poems he taught to the dean. As a result, the dean thought Chinpingan wrote them. This led the dean to conclude that he was some literature master and come to admire him. Chinpingan decided to forget about it and, in turn, thought about how to complete the task given by the system. However, he did not know cultivation, so it seemed like a joke for him to establish a sect. Therefore, he made the decision to visit the town and buy some cultivation books. Later on, as Chinpingan walked down a secluded alley, he finally arrived at the 1,000 bookstore. Upon opening the door, he immediately voiced his intention to buy a book and called out for Boss Duan. Surprisingly, a woman closed her book and recognized him as Mr. Chen. Boss Duan warmly greeted him, remarking that it had been a while since he last visited her shop. In response, Chinpingan greeted her back and asked about her business situation. As she stood up from her seat, she replied that things were the same as usual and that she was just barely making it. She asserted that she was a weak woman trying hard to make an honest living by working tenaciously, so she really wanted to find a good family to marry. Chinpingan replied that no one was worthy of Boss Duan, to which she asked who had decided on such a notion. Approaching him, she said that he was worthy, causing Chinpingan to cough and blush in embarrassment as he suggested she should stop. He then asked if she had any books on cultivation with common methods, but she rebuked him for bringing up the books to change the topic and walked away. Chinpingan wondered why he felt like Boss Duan had every book he needed. Suddenly, Boss Duan retrieved a book from the bookshelf and suggested that Chinpingan read the name of her store carefully. The book was titled Cultivation for Dummies, and she generously gave it to him as a token of love, refusing to charge him. Delighted, Chinpingan claimed that he would help her promote the place, but she declined the offer and simply asked him to come often. As Chinpingan prepared to leave, he couldn't shake off the feeling that Boss Duan was giving him a familiar feeling. He was shocked and called out to her. Boss Duan then asked if he had changed his mind and if he was now willing to propose to her. Chinpingan scratched his head as Boss Duan was joking again. Despite this, he appreciated her help and decided to invite her to his house. Boss Duan accepted his offer and mentioned that she would visit him if she had the chance. As Chen Pingan said goodbye and walked away, he couldn't shake off a strange feeling he couldn't explain. Meanwhile, Boss Duan watched him depart and muttered an apology as time was not upon them yet. She then snapped her fingers, and the 1,000 bookstore was illuminated with light. Finally, in a blink of an eye, the store vanished. Later in Chen Pingan's courtyard, he learned about cultivation and the countless opportunities in foods cultivators can use to enhance cultivation. He was shocked and jolted in his seat as he wondered what are the chances the Moron family and the others come because his meal increased their cultivation. However, by only eating Dibao there is a slight possibility of a breakthrough and he buys all the rice from the town. It appeared to him they only enjoyed his cooking as it may not increase cultivation but it gave them a sense of satisfaction. Scratching his head, he resolves to confirm his theory with the Moron family, including the establishment of the sect. Suddenly, Morong Shua called out from the outside which Chen Pingan finds a coincidence. She just came in time so he asked her if she could pass a message from him. In response, she was surprised Chen Pingan predicted her arrival and revealed she come to deliver news of Mountain Sect and Magic Moon Sect merging into a new sect under his name. Moreover, they would like to name it but if he did not like the plan, they will cancel it. Chen Pingan was in disbelief so Morong Shua confirmed it was true and mentioned the entire sect would belong to him. He thought of a name and suggested the sect should be called Pingan, silently hoping it would not sound dirty. Surprisingly, Morong Shua found it good, not expecting the senior would be willing to name it after himself. While it sounded like she wanted to flatter him, he felt they always feel good about everything he said so he found it strange. He asked Morong Shua why they always call him senior while being very polite at the same time. Morong Shua answered that it was because of his strong cultivation. However, she suddenly noticed she had misspoken. On the other hand, Chen Pingan replied that he was just a mortal. So, he questioned where the strong cultivation she was talking about was. Morong Shua silently panicked as she realized she had forgotten about Chen Pingan's mind cultivation. At this moment, Chen Pingan saw her expression and felt like she would kneel down again. Therefore, he decided to stop despite not clarifying his doubts. Smiling, he asked her about the construction of the sect. Before she left, he invited her to eat. Morong Shua prostrated without warning. She declined his request and admitted they used to be greedy. Furthermore, she declared she had learned her lesson from the hidden sound stone and would never try to take advantage of opportunities again. As a response, Chen Pingan inquired if the chances she referred to were related to those meals, which made her feel petrified. She hurriedly ran away as she asked for forgiveness and reasoned she had something important to do, leaving Chen Pingan in confusion. He asked a bunch of questions that he felt like more significant problems but she only told him he was strong. Entering his house, Chen Pingan lamented if only he was really strong. Meanwhile, a twinkle appeared in the sky. A huge meteor from space can be seen streaking toward the mortal world. Later that night, the meteor entered the atmosphere. A woman asked if Luo Xiaojia would take responsibility for her. So he stated that the falling meteorite is about their love. He turned on his back and noticed that the falling meteorite was about to pass by near where they were flirting. Suddenly, Long Aotian appeared noticing that the couple are running away from the falling meteorite. He thought that the meteorite was a Hongzha stone, and judging by its size, it must not belong to an ordinary person. So Long Aotian believed the falling meteorite was meant for Chen Pingan's house as if it had searched the universe for its rightful owner but he lamented that he might not be lucky enough to see Chen Pingan make a move. Meanwhile, Phoenix saw the approaching meteorite plummeting, thinking that Chen Pingan's luck had brought about another disaster. After that, he handed the work to Little Fish because it was bigger than the last time. So Little Fish turned into a true dragon, telling Phoenix to watch over him. After that, the dragon collided with the meteorite and tossed it in another direction. At the same time, Long Aotian was surprised by the appearance of a true dragon in Chen Pingan's yard. Discouraged that Chen Pingan had other plans for the meteorite, Long Aotian quietly returned to his home. Consequently, Long Aotian believed that in the future, people would praise the house that had been struck by the meteorite as immortal. Simultaneously, the meteorite got struck the Thousand Feather Empire within one night. The kingdom was burnt and reborn. Prince Qianyu gained a superb physique and became a great talent of the continent, while the emperor broke through the Mahayana realm. Within a month, the imperial kingdom of Thousand Feathers has been renamed Thousand Feathers Empire and became the center of all power. A month and a half later, Chen Pingan and Grandpa Morong were discussing current events. Grandpa Morong originally believed that they wouldn't be bothered by the empire, but recently, the princes brought up many people and ordered them to uncover the treasure. Chinpingan was surprised to hear that the sect's construction had stopped, as both the Mountain Sect and the Illusory Moon Sect couldn't resist the empire. With a concerned look on his face, Grandpa Morong informed him that although the foundation had been laid, work would not continue for some time. Chinpingan was startled and wondered why the hooligans had to show up now when there was only a month left until the system deadline. Chinpingan considered approaching Shushan Immortal Academy for assistance in resolving their conflict with the empire. So Grandpa Morong was astounded by Chinpingan's decision to allow the Shushan Immortal Academy to intervene on their behalf. But when Chinpingan realized he didn't have their dean's contact information, he subsequently felt depressed. He recalled Xiao Linger's influential father and contemplated seeking his assistance. So Grandpa Morong was once again surprised that the senior knew someone influential other than the academy. But he informed Grandpa Morong that Xiao Linger's father had just paid him a visit a month prior and that they would have to wait another month for him to pay him a visit again. As a result, Grandpa Morong was disappointed since he thought the senior should gather contact information from anyone since it wasn't difficult. In another place, the day began with a young girl ordering a group of people to work harder on digging out. The girl's name was Lu Yushi, and she was a princess of the Thousand Feather Empire with a bad attitude, telling the workers that the elderly women on the streets are far stronger than them. Noticing the workers' dissatisfaction, she asked if they were satisfied, and if not, she threatened them to fight with the guard next to her. The bald man guarding Lu Yushi was an immortal cultivator from the Transcendence realm. Ripe watermelon was served to Lu Yushi moments later, but Lu Yushi berated her shaking servant, calling her useless and asking how she dared to shake. She criticized her for taking too long to retrieve a melon and disparaged the people around her as being trash. So Morong Su, the girl who served Lu Yushi, became irritated. Unconcerned, Lu Yushi took a bite of the watermelon and threw it at Morong Su, telling her that it was not tasty and requesting that she get another. Eventually, Morong Su clenched her fist in rage. But Lu Yushi noticed this and asked her if she did not want to follow her orders. So Morong Su tried to relax as she saw Grandpa Morong approaching. She inquired to her grandpa about what Chinpingan had said. Grandpa Morong told Morong Su that it is inconvenient for Chinpingan to take action himself and that he is certain that other arrangements will be made. So Morong Su got depressed by what her grandpa said. Suddenly, the earth quaked. Morong Su and Grandpa Morong looked quickly at the dug ground area. The ground shook so violently that the workers rushed to evacuate the dugout area, but Lu Yushi ran towards the man-made crater, shouting that there must be a treasure about to be born. Suddenly, a huge serpent-like creature dug himself out of the crater and appeared in front of Lu Yushi, prompting her to wonder what the serpent-like creature was. The snake-like creature attacked her, wounding Princess Lu Yushi near her right eye, causing her to scream. The workers were shocked and quickly ran for their lives in fear. But one of the workers recognized it was a black serpent. Meanwhile, Princess Lu Yushi quickly got back up and ordered her bodyguard to stop the black serpent from rampaging. At that moment, Long Aotian stepped forward and told the black serpent that he couldn't kill anyone with him there. Surprised, Lu Yushi looked at the man who just arrived and immediately knew him as the man who owned the Tianzuan Tower, so she asked Long Aotian to take her out of there. However, Long Aotian, with a puzzled expression, had no idea what Lu Yushi did there. Long Aotian thought that after his previous breakthrough, there was no way to release his power, and the Black Serpent was at the peak of the Mahayana realm. So he smirked as he believed that the Black Serpent was perfectly good for practice. The Black Serpent growled at Long Aotian, and quickly switched to a silly tone, denying that he ever said he was going to kill someone as he believed in Buddhism. Long Aotian, shocked, told the Black Serpent that, despite this, the people are innocent, and he had to stop the Black Serpent from harming them. The Black Serpent gave Long Aotian the finger and claimed that he didn't hurt anyone, he was just out to get some sunshine. He told Long Aotian that he had killed immortal beasts in the past and that he shouldn't think he is all that just because Long Aotian's cultivation level is much higher. Long Aotian cursed the Black Serpent in his thoughts after hearing what he said. Humiliated, Long Aotian wished the Black Serpent was bloodthirsty so he wouldn't hesitate to kill it. Lu Yushi caught hold of Long Aotian's clothes and called him, stating that the Black Serpent was clearly afraid of Long Aotian and was only acting and that he might go somewhere and cause havoc after he left. Long Aotian stared at Lu Yushi, and told her she was only using him because she came from the Thousand Feather Empire. Long Aotian stated that while he does not know who her father is, he believes he is no better than her. Long Aotian taught her some manners while Lu Yushi was kneeling on the ground. He left Lu Yushi and told her she was on her own. Lu Yushi, humiliated, threatened Long Aotian that one day she would make him kneel at the feet of their empire. Suddenly, the black serpent exhaled and informed Lu Yushi that he had overheard her talk bad about him. Lu Yushi denied the accusation Long Aotian was walking when he realized that Chen Pingan had not planned everything on purpose. He called his subordinate behind Long Aotian. A man kneeled and greeted his master. Long Aotian ordered his subordinate to mobilize all members of the Tianzuan Tower and its forces to suppress the Thousand Feather Empire. He also threatened their allies, declaring them as his sworn enemies. The man obeys his master's command. Long Aotian instructed his subordinates to deliver his message to the emperor. And the Thousand Feather Empire burned, with much blood spilled. Long Aotian's subordinate approached an unknown man and mentioned that he has a wonderful daughter. Later, Long Aotian arrived at Chen Pingan's household where he was asked if he had any idea about the Thousand Feather Empire. Long Aotian was surprised and praised Chen Pingan for being clever as he revealed he had come today to talk about the empire. Their behavior is too vicious and arrogant and he used the means to suppress them overnight, so he wanted to apologize if he overstepped his boundaries. Chen Pingan's face lit up as he did not expect Long Aotian to be so powerful and did well suppressing the empire. However, he wondered why Long Aotian was apologizing. Afterward, he questioned why Long Aotian was calling him senior. Long Aotian thought the senior was trying to test him and wondered if the rise and development of the entire Thousand Feather Empire were prepared for this. Long Aotian stood from his seat and cupped his hand. With a serious expression, he answered it was because Chen Pingan was the strongest. This time, the system was thoroughly speechless. In contrast, Chen Pingan showed a delightful smile. He thanked Long Aotian and informed him he would not entertain him today because he had something to do later. Long Aotian stammered and realized there was still a lot of suppression. Walking out of the house, Chen Pingan bid Long Aotian farewell. Before he walked out of the gate, Long Aotian was relieved the senior did not seem angry and believed he was right for thinking it was the senior's test. Left alone, Chen Pingan called out to the system. With a hint of impatience, he commanded the system to come out. Afterward, the system asked what was up, so Chen Pingan fumed as he always wondered why he was respected by them and he thought he was strong, but the system said he was weak, so he was not asking for an explanation. The system replied he should find someone to fight with and try, if he could beat it, while stand upside down. Hearing the answer, Chen Pingan could still not believe it. He questioned himself about who he should spar with. The Morong family was too nice to him, let alone fight with him. He could not go pick a fight with thugs as he would be beaten to death if he was really not strong. He wondered who he should fight. He saw Su Ling, who was asleep under the peach tree. He approached Su Ling and asked for a favor, so she woke up in confusion. With a smile, he told Su Ling to spar with him. Everyone in the courtyard thought their master was too shameless. Xiao Linger and Chen Pingan were about to start their sparring session, when Chen Pingan suggested using the bamboo pole as a weapon. Xiao Linger agreed to use the wooden bamboo pole as a weapon. Xiao Linger was still concerned but eventually agreed to Chen Pingan's plan. Chen Pingan removed his extra clothing. Xiao Linger became more worried that she might hurt him even more after he took off his extra clothing. However, Chen Pingan reassured Xiao Linger that there was nothing to be worried about, he just doesn't want his clothes to get dirty. Chen Pingan thought that his younger sister could not hit him so hard that he could just beat Xiao Linger and prove the system wrong. Chen Pingan and Xiao Linger prepared to start their sparring. All of a sudden, Xiao Linger swung the wooden bamboo pole so fast that Chen Pingan could hardly ever see it. Chen Pingan was shocked at what happened. He couldn't evade the hit. He was immediately knocked down after being struck by his younger sister's wooden bamboo pole weapon. Chen Pingan's cheeks swelled so much after the hit. Xiao Linger was concerned after hitting her brother and asked if he is okay. Chen Pingan quickly got back up and touched his swollen cheeks and reassured his sister that he was fine. Chen Pingan began to doubt Xiao Linger's strength, for he can't dodge the attack that she made, and believed that what the system said was all true. He thought that was all impossible. He asked Xiao Linger to hit him again, which Xiao Linger eventually did without hesitation, at the same spot on his cheeks where he had previously been struck. Xiao Linger struck Chen Pingan a third time after being asked to do so by Chen Pingan. Later that day, after their sparring session, Chen Pingan was sitting on a chair feeling unwell. Suddenly, a system message popped up and told him that he already warned him. Chen Pingan became enraged and told the system to stop talking and leave him alone. Chen Pingan thought that judging from Xia Sui's appearance, Xiao Linger might be a child from a cultivating family, which made him believe that her strength is stronger than any of the ordinary children. Xiao Linger, hiding behind a tree, asked if Chen Pingan was alright. Chinpingan, still in his thoughts, believed that he might be weaker than Xiaolinger, and thought that Long Aotian had no reason to lie to him. He quickly believed that there might be a bug. Despite being weaker than Su Ling, Chinpingan was said to possess an unusual aura, possibly due to the bug, that allowed cultivators to sense his opponent's strength. He thought that's the reason why they called him Seinger, and wouldn't believe that Chinpingan is actually immortal. Later that night, Chopper was talking to Little Fish while sitting at the edge of the pond, about how he had felt his dragon family's breath today. He explained to the little fish that the sensation he had was peculiar and that, despite having a lot of dragon essence inside of him, he hadn't fully utilized it. Little Fish responded to Chopper that the dragon he sensed might have consumed a dead dragon and thought that the people in the immortal world were responsible for his injuries, and God accidentally fell into the mortal world and hid. The dragon can absorb dragon essence on his own, according to Little Fish, but if the dragon is present with Little Fish, he can fully absorb the dragon essence and turn into a true dragon. Phoenix suggested that if they claim the black serpent and turn him into their errand boy in the future, Chopper, Little Fish, and Phoenix agreed on the idea Phoenix posed. The bronze sword appeared through the door and agreed as well. Little Fish ordered the bronze sword to go and make the black serpent absorb the orb that Little Fish gave him, and let him change shape and bring him back. Bronze sword would immediately comply with any orders from Little Fish. On that night, in a lush forest, a golden light is rapidly approaching the dug earth where the monster black serpent is located. Bronze sword appeared in front of the crater and informed the black serpent that hiding was futile and that he did not come to kill him. The monster black serpent resurfaced, called Bronze Sword boss, and asked Bronze Sword if he needs something from him. Looking concerned, the monster black serpent asked if the Bronze Sword had any business with him at this time of night. Bronze Sword smiled as the black serpent addressed him in an honorific manner, which he had never heard before. Black serpent was confused if had said something awful about the Bronze Sword. The Bronze Sword proceeded to converse with the black serpent, asking him what he had just called him. Confused, Black Serpent called Bronze Sword boss again, annoyed that the Bronze Sword was all smile. Black Serpent told him to be serious. As the Bronze Sword completely recovered, he returned to the reason why he was there in the middle of the night. A couple of big shots wanted the Black Serpent to become their errand boy. The Bronze Sword told Black Serpent that he was thoughtful and gave him two options. The first option was for him to simply agree, and the second option was for the Bronze Sword to beat him senselessly and force him to agree with him. While smiling, the Bronze Sword instructed the monster Black Serpent to select only one option. Monster Black Serpent is looking down and murmured to himself that the Bronze Sword gave such a choice there. The Bronze Sword asked the Black Serpent if he was not satisfied with the choices, flick his finger and something exploded above the Black Serpent's head. He agreed to serve as their errand boy. As the monster Black Serpent agreed to be their errand boy, the Bronze Sword let out the orb that the little fish gave him and told him to let the monster Black Serpent absorb and eat it. The Black Serpent opened his jaws to catch the orb that the Bronze Sword threw at him and eat it. As the monster, Black Serpent ate the orb, his eyes widened as he felt an incredible surge of pure dragon energy. In a split second, the monster Black Dragon felt it inside his body. After absorbing a tiny amount of dragon essence, his body felt strange. In a short time, the monster Black Serpent discovers that the orb contains a secret art of transformation. Finding about the secret art of transformation, he tried shapeshifting and the monster Black Serpent burst into smoke and transformed into a large black dog. The once monster Black Serpent is now behaving like an obedient dog, wagging his tail and moving his ear. The dog barked while salivating. Worried, the once monster Black Serpent wondered why he turned into a dog. The Bronze Sword laughed so hard that the Black Serpent became a dog. He told the Black Serpent that he was not laughing at him, that he just thought something funny. Black Serpent was humiliated by the idea of becoming a dog. Bronze Sword continues making fun of the Black Serpent's new appearance. Black Serpent thought that the Bronze Sword was obviously laughing at him and that he was not stopping anytime soon. The Bronze Sword told the Black Serpent to follow him and will show him who's the real boss. Later that night, the Bronze Sword and the Black Serpent arrived at Cheng Pingan's home. Bronze Sword smiled as he told everyone that they had returned home, proud that he had done a good job taming the Black Serpent. Upon encountering Chopper, Phoenix, and Little Fish, Black Serpent's eyes widened in surprise. He had expected to find only one tough guy and was taken aback by the realization that the entire yard was filled with strong individuals. At that moment, he felt a sense of dread wash over him, as though he had stumbled into a place he was not prepared to handle. Scared, Black Serpent greeted them. Chopper told the bronze sword that the trash has been trained well. Bronze sword replied that it was all thanks to his big brothers that taught him so well. Chopper told the dog to stand up and behave like a dog in the yard, especially in front of their master, and that if Chinpingan began to suspect anything, the black serpent would perish. The black serpent, trembling, obeyed Chopper's command. Black serpent thought of what was going on with his body, and just looking at little fish made the dragon essence in his body rise up. The little fish comforted the black serpent, assuring him that he would get used to it with time and that even many people with dragon blood would struggle to see him. The black dog told the little fish that he was doing well before asking who the little fish was. Little fish apologized for not introducing himself and transformed into a true dragon known as the Holy Dragon by many. Shocked, Black Serpent reasoned that he might have retained some memories of the dragon he ate previously, as well as the name Holy Dragon. He existed before the world, with everything, and throughout time, he was the true ancestor of dragons. Scared, the Black Serpent wondered why such an existence would live in the pond in the form of a goldfish, and he pondered how terrifying their master would be. The wind suddenly blows while the leaves on the peach tree dance. A leaf falls and transforms into a person's feet, and a woman appears where the leaf fell off. Peachtree woman called Xiaolinger and asked her to persuade Chinpingan to take the Black Serpent the next day. Xiaolinger woke up and obliged her sister's Peachtree's order, falling asleep once again. Outside of the castle of the Thousand Feather Empire, someone yelled that he wanted an explanation. Inside the castle, two men were having a conversation. One of them was sitting comfortably, while the other stood up, enraged, and posed a vexing question to the man he was talking to. The man sitting was calling the other man his father. Lu Jingtao, the emperor of the Thousand Feather Empire, asked his father to calm down and reassured him that Princess Lu Yushi, his daughter, had gone to find a treasure in a far and remote location. He explained that he did not know all the details about the princess's whereabouts. The enraged man's name was the imperial grandfather Lu, the emperor's father, and Princess Lu Yushi's grandfather. Grandfather Lu said that the Tianzuan Tower completely suppressed them overnight, and that the forces that cooperated with them before were baring their fangs at them. Clueless, Emperor Lu Jingtao answered his father that he didn't know why they had turned their back on them. Lu Yushi came back and greeted her dad. After sitting on a chair, she stated that she had been on a very dangerous day and was fortunate to be smart. She inquired as to why the palace was so deserted that day. She ordered one of the palace staff to bring her some delicious tea, which annoyed Emperor Lu Jingtao since Lu Yushi seemed to be in the mood for good tea. He questioned Lu Yushi about her activities over the previous few days of her trip. Lu Yushi snarled at Lu Jingtao, telling him not to bother her and that the sect masters were so lazy. She picked up food on the plate and stated that their empire won't even raise them like dogs. Upset, Lu Jingtao told Lu Yushi that it was sure enough her fault. Confused, Lu Yushi asked her father what happened. Lu Jingtao clenched his fist and asked grandfather Lu if he could hit his adorable grandchild. Lu Yushi was glad that her grandfather stopped the punishment of her father. Following that, grandfather Lu desires to join his son in disciplining his granddaughter. At Chinpingan household, Xiaolinger woke her brother up with a happy expression. Chinpingang was roused by her persistent calling and asked her what was the matter. Xiaolinger told Chinpingan to rise and shine. After being startled by the sight of the enormous dog, Chinpingan asked how Xiaolinger obtained him. The dog became frightened upon seeing Chinpingan. Xiaolinger told Chinpingan that the lost dog lying outside was cute and asked if they could keep it. With doubt on his face, Chinpingan asked how Xiaolinger knew that the dog was lost. Xiaolinger revealed to her brother what the dog had told her, and the dog was shocked. Chinpingan patted his Xiaolinger on the head, not believing what she had spoken, and told her to stop making jokes. Chinpingan assumed that the large dog was let out for a run and got lost. He suggested Xiaolinger return it to the yard in the hope that it might return to its owner when it gets tired of playing. Xiaolinger obeyed Chinpingan. Chinpingan reasoned that because Xiaolinger seemed to like the dog, a strange dog on this mountain might not be feral. He murmured to himself that it was better not to mess with the dog. Xiaolinger expressed disgust and informed the dog that her mission was complete, and it was not her concern if Chinpingan did not want it. After that, she suggested the dog play by itself. The black dog was frightened by Xiaolinger's abrupt attitude changes. Uncertain of why Xiaolinger gave up so easily when she could have pretended to be her brother's adorable little sister to persuade him to let the dog stay, the enormous black dog wondered how Chinpingan would get rid of him as he walked and lay down on the pavement. Moments later, Chinpingan goes outside the yard and notices the dog that Xiaolinger had bought inside the house lying down in his front yard. Chinpingan walks closer to the dog and sits down. He tells the dog to return home and not attempt to steal any bones from his property. The black dog is visibly worried when he overheard Chinpingan speaking to him in such a manner. A system message that indicated a fresh task catches Chinpingan's attention. Puzzled and believing that a new task had arisen after completing the previous one not long ago because this had never occurred in the previous 5 years, Chinpingan is given a task by the system to recruit 10,000 followers for his newly founded sect in 10 days. However, when the system assigns him a duty that is extremely difficult and nearly impossible, Chinpingan becomes hysterical. There is a second notification displayed by the system because the task does not carry a life-staking penalty. Annoyed, Chinpingan just wants to disregard the mission because there is no consequence. Afterward, the system displays a further notification stating that if he doesn't complete the mission, his manhood will be diminished. In a fit of rage, Chinpingan grabs a part of the system and slams it to the ground. An unknown person comes knocking on the huge door. Chinpingan recognizes the person who came to visit him and grants them access to the residence. Grandpa Morong steps inside Chinpingan's home, and they talk as they walk towards the house. Chinpingan tells Grandpa Morong that he is acting all cheerful now that it seems the matter with the Thousand Feather Empire has been resolved. Grandpa Morong responds that due to Long Aotian taking action against the Empire, the construction of the sect has been completed and can now start accepting apprentices. Chinpingan compliments Long Aotian, but he thinks that it appears that the bug with his system is too strong. Even though he can't defeat Xiaolinger, he can order someone as strong as Long Aotian around. Grandpa Morong remarks with a smile that Long Aotian is quite powerful and tells Chinpingan that a few days ago, there was a monster in the place where they were digging for treasure and was frightened on the spot after Long Aotian arrived. Grandpa Morong notices the dog in front of him. When Chinpingan turns around, he notices Grandpa Morong leaning towards the door with a terrified expression. Chinpingan asks what happened to him all of a sudden. Grandpa Morong thinks that the breath of the dog is the same as the black serpent that appeared that day. Chinpingan points out the dog and asks Grandpa Morong if he is scared of it. Grandpa Morong thinks that the appearance of the black serpent there means that it was subdued by Chinpingan. He quickly denies the allegations and asks whether Chinpingan was startled by the dog, as he had been saying earlier. Chinpingan asks whether they could gather 10,000 disciples in just 10 days. Grandpa Morong agrees to his senior's request and responds with vigor. A brilliant idea comes up from Grandpa Morong's mind, and he wants Chinpingan to lend him the dog for a few days and he'll make sure to accept 10,000 apprentices. Grandpa Morong thought that it is enough to have the black serpent accompany him. Chinpingan considered how the demonic creatures in the Cultivation book had a voracious appetite for blood and frequently went insane. As a result, he thought that it was not a big deal if the dog eats the chicken, but it would be bad if it attacks Xiaolinger. With this in mind, Chinpingan tried asking Grandpa Morong what he would do with the black dog. Upon hearing the question, Grandpa Morong responded with a vivacious statement that he would bring the dog to the town. It was evident to Chinpingan that the black dog was a demonic beast, as he had suspected. Without hesitation, Chinpingan wanted Grandpa Morong to take the dog with him, and the grateful Grandpa Morong assured him that he would gather 10,000 disciples in 10 days. With the black dog in his arms, Grandpa Morong approached the gate and carried the worried black dog to go to town. As the black dog telepathically called for little fish, he was promised that he could simply enter the house at night in secrecy. Grandpa Morong departed the elderly Chinpingan household by taking to the skies, leaving Chinpingan anxious about whether Grandpa Morong could effectively perform the task he had given him. Concerned about the possibility of failure, Chinpingan considered accompanying Grandpa Morong. However, due to a glitch in the system, people could mistake his strength and be drawn to him, which could lead to a large following. He pondered the fact that he hasn't checked whether the system's bug affects other people as well. Ultimately, Chinpingan decided to delegate the work to Grandpa Morong out of fear of what the people would say if they failed to notice his tremendous aura. Meanwhile, in the Pingan sect, Grandpa Morong arrived with the black dog after visiting the residence of Chinpingan. Upon arrival, the black dog angrily addressed Grandpa Morong and said that taking him away from Chinpingan's house made him lose a lot of chances to get stronger. Grandpa Morong calmed the black dog down as he was trying to help him too. He warned the black dog that Chinpingan dislikes greedy people, and if he lingered at his house for too long, he might be ejected. Additionally, he told the black dog that if he aided Grandpa Morong in his mission, he would convey to Chinpingan some words of commendation that he assisted him in amassing 10,000 disciples. After hearing Grandpa Morong speak, the black dog finally understood why he was ejected from Chinpingan's home. He bowed down in front of Grandpa Morong, thanking him for helping him. A sect protective formation emerged from the body of the black dog, thanking the group for their assistance and promising to reward them. The black dog's spiritual energy filled the sect's protection formation, enabling it to repel an assault from the peak of the Mahayana realm despite being under attack. As a gesture of gratitude, the black dog offered the sect some weapons and gold because he couldn't use them himself. Grandpa Morong expressed gratitude to the black dog for the weapons and gold pieces and requested a favor to assist him in gathering disciples. Black Serpent transformed into his original form to help Grandpa Morong on his task, and Grandpa Morong mentioned that he hadn't seen the Black Serpent for a few days, noticing that he seemed to have gotten bigger. Together, Grandpa Morong and the Black Serpent traveled to the town. Long Aotian observed the Mahayana realm formation of the mountain sect's guardian dragon. However, he concluded that Chinpingan's decision to provide them with this potent defense must be incorrect. Shocked by this realization, Long Aotian began to doubt his belief that the senior's choice was always the right one. He assumed that these occurrences were tests that the senior made on a divine scale for the three parties. The Thousand Feather Empire was the first to fall because of its arrogance. Despite being given a second chance, they refused to change their ways. Long Aotian was startled to learn that he had passed the senior's test as a result of what he did while he pondered about the second test. After that, Long Aotian observed and guessed that the mountain sect would be the third test. As he discovered how precisely Chinpingan had arranged everything, his admiration for Chinpingan grew. Therefore, he made a call to a subordinate, ordering him to get him a grand gift, which the subordinates agreed to do. However, Long Aotian's servant questioned what kind of gift to purchase because he was unsure of his master's demands. To everyone's surprise, Long Aotian revealed to him a present fit for a person who resides at the very top of the mainland. Meanwhile, in Chinpingan's household, the system popped up with a new message stating that the task was complete as Grandpa Morong and the Black Serpent had successfully executed their task. The system message surprised Chinpingan because it had just been sent before dusk. Chinpingan reminded himself that he needed to entertain the Morong family more effectively the next time since he was proud of what Grandpa Morong did. While sitting on a chair outside his house, he told the system to accept the reward for the successfully accomplished work. The system obliged, drawing the lottery reward. Although Chinpingan thought it was total nonsense to say that he was unlucky to have picked up the sword from the mountain, he hoped he would have a better weapon this time. The bronze sword overheard Chinpingan declaring him useless, which saddened him. The system displayed a second notification stating that the draw had been successful. Suddenly, an odd item dropped hard on top of Chinpingan's stomach, making him cough. As he looked into the peculiar thing the system had awarded him, he realized that he had received a super fertilizer as his gift. Unexpectedly, Chinpingan grinned at his award because he wanted to grow something in his yard. He called Xiaolinger out of the house and asked if she wants more watermelons, and they would go buy watermelon seeds. Thereafter, Xiaolinger eagerly followed Chinpingan. Chinpingan and Xiaolinger took a trip through the town, and they stopped at a fruit store to purchase some watermelon seeds. However, an unknown person was trailing behind them. Moments later, they got back home, and with the assistance of his Xiaolinger, Chinpingan started plowing in the soil. After the earth had been plowed, he distributed the watermelon seeds there before applying some of the system's super fertilizer. As Xiaolinger and Chinpingan finished their work, they were delighted. However, Chinpingan observed that he appeared slightly unkempt and peasant-like. Xiaolinger drew her brother's attention to the watermelon they planted, pointing out a finger to the watermelon growing. They were confused about what happened as it was just a minute ago that they planted the watermelons. Chinpingan theorized that the system's super fertilizer was what had caused the plant's rapid growth, claiming that, in contrast to the rubbish he had previously acquired, he had finally acquired something useful. However, after hearing their master's comments, the objects that Chinpingan acquired felt depressed. Xiaolinger asked Chinpingan if they could fertilize the watermelons they planted, but Chinpingan rejected his sister's proposal to fertilize the plants. He said that although the fertilizer the system gave was amazing, it couldn't be used much. He headed inside the house to change out of his filthy clothes and get ready to cook. Xiaolinger, who was now dejected, switched her attention to the fertilizer and had the thought to simply put additional fertilizer into the watermelons without her brother's approval. She continued to apply the super fertilizer to the watermelons since she was eager for them to ripen. When the watermelons started to develop and grow, Chinpingan asked Xiaolinger what was that sound. Xiaolinger had a worried expression on her face as if she was afraid of her brother scolding her. She concocted an excuse to escape her brother's scolding. Chinpingan was subsequently intrigued by the potential of the fertilizer and said that the fertilizer is even more magical than he thought. However, he saw that the bulk of the fertilizer had been taken out of the sack. Xiaolinger told Chinpingan that she doesn't know and that maybe the wind blew some of the fertilizer away. Chinpingan believed her sister was beyond help. Meanwhile, an unknown person was watching Xiaolinger and Chinpingan as they exchanged words in the yard through the partially open door. Chinpingan told Xiaolinger to wash her hands, which Xiaolinger quickly obeyed. Chinpingan thought that the watermelon ripened so hard, and he doubted that the watermelon could be eaten. He told Xiaolinger before she rushes to eat, he will try it first. Unaware that Xiaolinger was currently devouring watermelons left and right, he warned young Xiaolinger not to consume the watermelons too quickly lest she choke and that no one would attempt to steal them from her. Xiaolinger ate the watermelons rapidly while not paying attention to what her brother said because she was worried he could offer them to the stranger outside their home. Chinpingan glanced through the door with a puzzled expression and observed that it was only partially open. As Chinpingan opened the door to investigate what her sister had said, he was surprised to see a little kid. The young child was frightened after being caught by Xiaolinger and Chinpingan. However, Chinpingan tried to calm him down by asking if there was something wrong. The young boy didn't respond, which made Chinpingan think that he had scared the kid. Chinpingan then asked if the kid was a cultivator, but when the youngster didn't respond, he thought that there might be a system bug or that the child was simply plain stupid. Despite his disappointment that the child couldn't communicate, Chinpingan still told the kid to take the watermelon and urged him to return home right away so his family wouldn't be concerned about his whereabouts. After shutting the door and walking away, the child finally had a chance to catch his breath and admitted aloud that he was terrified. When Chinpingan first heard the child's voice, he was amused that the child could speak. So, he opened the door and closed it just after. However, the young boy was startled, and he shivered when he saw Chinpingan again. He believed that cultivators in their world were weird, and there wasn't a single normal person. Fear made the youngster run from Chinpingan's home as quickly as he could. For the first time, the kid was so terrified that he couldn't even voice a word when he sensed the presence of countless treasures within Chinpingan's home. He thought that Chinpingan was aware of him following them and didn't expect that such a high-level expert was living in seclusion in just a small town. However, he was lucky that Chinpingan didn't blame him. While eating his watermelon, the young boy speculated that perhaps Chinpingan didn't want to be bothered, which is why he resided in a remote area. He also thought that he advanced by one major realm, and the watermelon that Chinpingan had given him may have helped to improve. He even thought that he was underestimating Chinpingan and must be the reason for the sudden rise of a nearby sect. The kid murmured to himself that the sect might not be as simple as they imagined with his grandpa. During this time, Chinpingan's household was on alert, and he thought that tightly locking the door would help them after noticing that a stranger was watching their home. After all, the house was filled with treasure, and someone might steal it, especially the super fertilizer. Chinpingan then ran across Xiaolinger and without hesitation, questioned whether Xiaolinger had a cultivation base. Xiaolinger was sweating as she struggled to comprehend his brother's serious question. She thought that her acting was so good, just like immortal, to suit Chinpingan's taste, and asked herself how did he find out. When Chinpingan awaited Xiaolinger's response, she finally responded and did not dispute the existence of her cultivation base. Surprised by Xiaolinger's answer, Chinpingan inferred that he lacked a cultivation base compared to his younger sister. Nonetheless, Xiaolinger responded and told her brother that she had much lower cultivation than most around her. Chinpingan expressed his surprise that Xiaolinger had kept it hidden from him for so long and asked her what realm she was in currently. Without hesitation, Xiaolinger glanced at the woman behind her brother in the Peachtree and spoke to Chinpingan, stating that she was currently in the chi-gathering stage. Curious, Chinpingan turned around to see what Xiaolinger was looking at, but there was nothing there. Despite this, Chinpingan inquired further about his sister's cultivation, asking when she began practicing. Stuttering, Xiaolinger was searching for an answer to prevent Chinpingan from discovering her cover, and the Peachtree woman whispered an answer behind his brother's back. Chinpingan quickly turned around to see who was standing behind him, but there was no one there. He wondered why Xiaolinger always turned to look behind the peach tree when she spoke, suspecting that someone might be providing her with answers. Scratching his head in confusion, Chinpingan walked away from the peach tree. Later, while serving watermelons to Xiaolinger in the dining room, he warned her that what she did was wrong for keeping it a secret from him and threatened to seize all of her watermelons the next time she refused to reveal the truth. In response, Xiaolinger denied that it was her fault and told him that Sister Peachtree had taught her everything. Chinpingan was bewildered by Xiaolinger's response and didn't understand which sister she was referring to. Chinpingan reasoned that everything on the planet that had lived for a long period could spiritually advance and become immortals, following the Cultivation book. As a result, he approached the peach tree, confident that nothing strange had transpired since the system had delivered the sapling there 5 years prior. However, he thought that the seeds sent by the system might possibly differ. Sister Peachtree was upset that Xiaolinger had disclosed her to Chinpingan in exchange for a watermelon. The system appeared in front of Peachtree and instructed her to find a solution to avoid being exposed, else, consequences would be implemented. Sister Peachtree accepted the task and cast a spell towards Xiaolinger, which could control a person's mind. In response, Xiaolinger made up a story to prevent Chinpingan from trying to look into the peach tree any further and to make Chinpingan forget what Xiaolinger had said earlier. Chinpingan inquired about Xiaolinger's well-being out of concern for her, but as he touched her forehead, he got burned. As Chinpingan looked at the watermelon he grew in his yard, he thought that the fertilizer's side effects might have caused it. With a frowning face, he carried his little sister, who had a fever, and tried to assure her that it was just a normal fever. Despite this, Chinpingan encouraged his sister to remain strong and not give up hope. Meanwhile, Aotian was meditating in a dense forest when he was disturbed by a massive explosion nearby. Suddenly, a man appeared in front of him and informed him of his cunning ways. Alarmed by the sudden presence of an unknown person, Aotian wondered why the person would dare to attack him without warning. Aotian was informed by Gufeng, the elderly man who abruptly set off the explosion, that he had reached the realm of the earthly immortals and had come to greet him. Outraged, Aotian questioned him about the logic of greeting someone with an explosion. Gufeng believed the explosion to be extremely powerful, yet Aotian easily avoided it without breaking a sweat. Gufeng thought that maybe Chinpingan helped Aotian break through the earth's immortal realm. However, Aotian mockingly told Gufeng that he was too lazy to argue with him. He consistently made fun of Gufeng, pointing out that the last time they saw each other, he was still in the peak of the Mahayana realm, and now that they met again, he was still in the same realm. Annoyed by Aotian's constant mockery, Gufeng told him to stop talking if he had no knowledge of the Mahayana realm. Aotian, in turn, boasted to Gufeng that he was much more attractive than him. Gufeng, enraged by Aotian's words, yelled at him in frustration. Xiaolinger was sick and lying in bed, and Chinpingan was standing next to her with a worried look. He murmured, "How come she has a fever all of a sudden?" He told himself that the watermelon had no problem at all, as he had tried it. He believed that the reason why Xiaolinger was sick was that she was a cultivator. Just then, someone knocked on Chinpingan's door and asked for him. It was Grandpa Morong, and Chinpingan welcomed him, telling him he didn't need to ask to enter every time. Grandpa Morong's eyes widened as he noticed the enormous watermelons. He was surprised that Chinpingan's yard was empty a few days ago. Still in awe, Grandpa Morong noticed that the amount of spiritual energy was thousands of times stronger than the most advanced spiritual medicine he had ever seen. Flustered, Chinpingan reasoned that Grandpa Morong might be interested in the watermelons. He proceeded to think that the book stated that if practitioners consume too much spiritual energy that cannot be refined, they will experience a fever phenomenon. Chinpingan asked Grandpa Morong if the watermelons might be elixirs. He thought that the fertilizer was magical and that maybe it could grow an elixir or something, for he didn't have any idea about cultivation, and that kind of thing must be possible. Grandpa Morong responded that Chinpingan must be joking and didn't believe that they were elixirs. Chinpingan was relieved that they weren't elixirs, as it would have been difficult if they were. He reasoned that Xiaolinger must have had a cold stomach, which caused her fever. Grandpa Morong informed Chinpingan that the sect was now open and welcoming disciples. He asked if Chinpingan would like to visit. Chinpingan said he couldn't attend because he had to take care of Xiaolinger, who was sick and resting at home. Grandpa Morong agreed but added that Chinpingan had a unique excuse. He didn't believe Xiaolinger was sick because she was immortal. Chen Pingan told Grandpa Morong that he couldn't let Xiao Linger eat all the watermelons. He gave one to him and asked him to share it with everyone at the ceremony. Grandpa Morong accepted the watermelons, thinking that it was a great opportunity for them. He responded that if Chen Pingan wanted to give it to them, it would be done as he wished. Grandpa Morong stored the watermelon on his ring, thanked Chen Pingan, and told him that he would go back to the sect to do the opening. Chen Pingan told him to forget about gathering 10,000 apprentices and that it was all done now. Meanwhile, in the Pingan sect, the newly recruited disciples gathered. Morong Su asked Grandpa Morong if Chen Pingan would visit today. Grandpa Morong responded that Chen Pingan had other arrangements and wouldn't be coming. Just then, the princess greeted Grandpa Morong, and he asked Morong Su to accompany her. The celebration began, and the emperor of the ancient empire approached Grandpa Morong and asked if he was free to have a conversation. Grandpa Morong was confused and disturbed by another Taoist, a supreme emperor of the Shaoxin mountain, and asked if he was allowed to speak with him. Someone had been planning to capture Morong Su and use her as a corpse weapon. However, as she turned around, she noticed the stranger's smug expression, which left her feeling uneasy. The stranger seemed puzzled when the sect introduced Long Aotian, the owner of Tianzuan Tower, Shandanting, the president of Shushan Immortal Academy, and Bai Gufeng and his grandson. The three powerhouses announced that they had come to congratulate the new sect. This left the stranger shocked and confused. Annoyed, Long Aotian commented on why Bai Gufeng had come to the ceremony, revealing that he had heard about Chen Pingan. Grandpa Morong then informed the crowd that the three seniors had come to visit and apologized for not welcoming them in advance. Long Aotian responded politely to Grandpa Morong, saying that they had already met before. Frowning, Grandpa Morong thanked Long Aotian for saving his life last time. Long Aotian replied that there was no need to be so polite and that he didn't mind just calling him Brother Long from now on. Shandanting then introduced himself and asked that they also call him Brother Jin, apologizing for coming uninvited. Bai Gufeng was the last one to introduce himself but was interrupted by Long Aotian, who called him a jerk. This infuriated Bai Gufeng, who cursed Long Aotian. Grandpa Morong stated that the three of them must be there because of Chen Pingan and invited them inside the sect. Shandanting asked Grandpa Morong to wait and presented him with a gift, a painting called Dragon and Phoenix, Qingxiang, stating that if they gazed at it for a long time, they would have an epiphany and improve their cultivation. In shock, Grandpa Morong questioned whether the gift Shandanting presented could be the treasure of the town courtyard of Shushan Immortal Academy. Shandanting agreed with a smile, responding that it was a suitable gift for a newly established sect. Bai Gufeng presented his gift a high-quality spiritual meridian that was good for improving cultivation. Long Aotian interrupted again, mocking Bai Gufeng for only presenting them with a high-grade spiritual vein. Long Aotian then presented his gift an absolute-grade spiritual vein, which he suggested Grandpa Morong throw Bai Gufeng's spiritual vein in the toilet for being unsuitable. Annoyed, Bai Gufeng hysterically asked if Long Aotian was competing against him, but Long Aotian mockingly responded that he was just better than him. Bai Gufeng then gave his second gift a purple gold card with a 10% discount on everything they bought in his treasure haul. Shandanting's eyes grew wide, thinking that 10% off was like giving away half of his treasure haul. However, Long Aotian was humiliated and replied that it was still garbage. He stated that he and Tianzuan Tower were always at Chen Pingan's disposal and that Bai Gufeng dared to make Chen Pingan pay after buying something at his hall. Now angry at Long Aotian, Bai Gufeng informed them that he would send his grandson to Chen Pingan's sect starting today. Long Aotian angrily replied that he was shameless and had clearly planned to let his grandson join the sect. Bai Gufeng rebutted that if Long Aotian had the ability, he could also send his grandson and proceeded to call him a 100-year-old virgin. Shandanting thought that it's hard if the two of them kept fighting. The stranger arrived and assumed that all the experts had come to greet the newly established sect. He couldn't believe what had just happened and proceeded to believe that there was a terrifying existence behind the sect. However, one of his subordinates whispered about what they should do and whether they should go ahead with their plans on capturing Morong Su. Shocked, the stranger scolded his subordinate to shut up, but Morong Su turned around and looked at them. Troubled, he advised his subordinate to look around before speaking. Pointing at the strangers, Morong Su informed her grandfather that those people were trying to cause trouble. Three experts asked at the same time if anyone dared, and Long Aotian grabbed the stranger, asking him what he was saying earlier. Long Aotian stated that the stranger appeared to be from the Purgatory sect and that he was unaware that he was in their brother's sect and dared to cause trouble. By goofing asserted that the Purgatory sect had no money but had the audacity to disregard his treasure haul, while Jindanting also mentioned the sect's academy. Scared, the stranger explained that there must be some misunderstanding because he was only there as a guest. Grandpa Morong agreed that it had to be a misunderstanding and asked them to forget about it because the stranger was only a visitor. He asked the stranger if he had bought a gift with him and that it was fine if the quality wasn't great because they weren't picky, and that he could just use the quantity to make up for it. The stranger had no choice but to give them a large sum of valuable treasure. Grandpa Morong stated that he had no idea there would be so many treasures, which the three experts agreed on. Clenching his fist, the stranger threatened to kill them all in his thoughts if those three experts left. Long Aotian informed Grandpa Morong that he lived on the top of a nearby hill and would pay him a visit when he had the time. Suddenly, the black serpent appeared and transformed into a dog, worrying Grandpa Morong. With heavy breathing, the dog responded that he couldn't beat the man in the sky. Grandpa Morong and the others looked up at the sky, noticing the man, Chen Yenming, who said he had a big harvest during his trip to the moral world. Chen Yenming found partially digested dragon essence in a dragon, but he won't be able to turn into a real dragon in the future. With a threatening tone, he told the ants below to listen carefully, that if they didn't want the formation to be destroyed, they should close the formation and hand him over the black dragon, or otherwise, he will destroy them. Frightened, Grandpa Morong asked the immortal if the dragon belonged to a certain existence and not his sect's guardian beast, and if he wanted the dragon, he should ask Chen Pingan. Chen Yenming considered what Grandpa Morong told him as a refusal and gave him 3 seconds to reconsider. Suddenly, a bronze sword appeared and told him what he was going to do now. Chen Yenming turned around and noticed the bronze sword, and asked what he was doing in the place. Bronze Sword replied that he didn't need to report his whereabouts to him and that the sect was under his protection, and that he should be embarrassed for being there, and called him a waste of the immortal realm. Chen Yenming realized that the Bronze Sword was guarding a mortal sect and wondered what happened there, and thought that the Bronze Sword's strength was no joke. Chen Yenming turned around and dashed away from the Bronze Sword. Bronze Sword asked why Chen Yenming was running and told him that he did not allow him to run away. He then kicked Chen Yenming so hard that he fell to the ground, causing a huge explosion. After that, Bronze Sword instructed Chen Yenming to go back to the sect and apologize. However, Chen Yenming, who was still in a rebellious mood, told Bronze Sword that he did not want to apologize to an ant swarm. As a result, the Bronze Sword proceeded to beat Chen Yenming until he was wounded. Sometime later, Chen Yenming kneeled in front of the sect and apologized for his behavior. The Bronze Sword gave Grandpa Morong Chen Yenming's belongings and told him to leave and inform the others that he was protecting the sect. Chen Yenming quickly obeyed and left, but not before stating that he would definitely be back. Grandpa Morong then called everyone's attention and announced that now that the situation had been resolved, they would officially accept 10,000 disciples over the next 3 days. 3 days later, Chen Pingan received a system message that the mission to recruit 10,000 disciples was now complete. He was surprised and murmured to himself that Grandpa Morong had not lied to him. Another system message appeared, congratulating Chen Pingan on completing his 900 tasks and stating that the system would now be upgraded to the highest version. A reward would be given based on Chen Pingan's wishes, and he could now obtain simple items or repair his cultivation. Chen Pingan was surprised and began to think about how he could become stronger through cultivation. However, the system update suddenly stopped at 99%. Which made Chen Pingan scream angrily and ask the system what strange resources it was downloading and why it was taking so long to upgrade. He then turned around and scolded Xiaolinger for not learning her lesson from her previous fever and told her that she was not allowed to eat watermelon. Xiaolinger responded that the watermelons had nothing to do with her fever, but Chen Pingan noticed that the system update had been completed. He was taken aback when the system turned to gold, and a new message popped up, stating that it had now been upgraded to ultimate mode. The host would now choose the future development direction. The first message stated that the host needed to wait for a task to trigger, and after completing it, some items would be randomly rewarded. The Raiders mode, on the other hand, featured an automatic selection of 100 realms from across the globe. Completing missions in these realms would allow the host to gain strength and power, and with every level completed, the host would grow closer to invincibility. Confused, Chen Pingan asked if the Raiders mode meant that he had to fight people and doubted himself, as he did not think he could fight anyone in his current state. However, another message popped up, stating that the second choice could give the host the initial cultivation base since the host had no spiritual roots and could not improve by himself. The cultivation base of each level would always be at its peak. Surprised by the second choice, Chinpingan selected it, and his mode changed. He was now at the peak of Danton formation, and he felt that his spiritual roots had been repaired for the first time in 5 years. He then formed a chi ball and fired it toward the wall, making a small crack. Amused, Chinpingan told himself that he could now use cultivation techniques, but also thought that it was too strong. Meanwhile, Xiaolinger watched in the back and thought that Chinpingan's chi was so weak. Chinpingan called for Xiaolinger, and she quickly obeyed his command. He then asked her to hit him with all her strength, just like last time, stating that he would not dodge it this time. Xiaolinger obeyed his request and thought to herself that this was an opportunity to get back at Chinpingan for confiscating her watermelon. Surprisingly, Chinpingan noticed that Xiaolinger was mobilizing chi. Outside Chinpingan's home, a huge blow had been dealt. With one eye open, Chinpingan asked if anything had happened. Amused that he felt nothing, he complimented himself. Xiaolinger responded, accusing him of cheating and suggesting that it was because of the outfit he was wearing. Phoenix frowned, wondering when his master would regain his strength, and how it was still awkward for him to see Chinpingan in such a state. The Peachtree responded telepathically, stating that Chinpingan was the strongest existence in the past after so many reincarnations. Chopper replied, acknowledging that it was Chinpingan's decision and that they didn't have any right to interfere. Reflecting, Chopper stated that he recalls Chinpingan's invincible appearance from before. Chinpingan, in the past, was having tea and asked who was interrupting his enjoyment. At the time, he was alone in the face of a group of people capable of destroying the world with a single move and within a blink of an eye. Chinpingan from the past told the group of people to come on together because he didn't want to waste his time. Blood was spilled, and the group of people attacking Chinpingan was dead. The bronze sword had no idea that Chinpingan was once powerful, and this infuriated Chopper, who screamed at the bronze sword. A system message popped up, stating that the first level was ready, asking if Chinpingan was going to enter. Surprised, Chinpingan told himself that the system arranged a task so quickly and that it was so much better than waiting for a new task. However, a stranger arrived, looking for Chinpingan. Chinpingan recognized Grandpa Morong's voice and asked the system to wait a minute. Grandpa Morong smiled and told Chinpingan that he had bought the dog back. Chinpingan replied that Grandpa Morong didn't need to bring back the dog with him. Grandpa Morong responded that they were now done accepting apprentices and that the dog wanted to spend more time with Chinpingan. Flustered, Chinpingan inquired whether the dog wished to spend time with him. He asked if the dog was strong and if it didn't bite, thinking that now that he has cultivation, he shouldn't be afraid. Grandpa Morong responded that the dog was very strong and assured Chinpingan that it believed in Buddhism and also fasting and would never hurt people indiscriminately. Chinpingan was perplexed because he couldn't believe it was still a demonic beast despite fasting and practicing Buddhism. Chinpingan looked at the dog and asked if Grandpa Morong was telling the truth. He asked the dog to sit and extend his hand, which the dog quickly did. Chinpingan hugged the dog and told him that he was a good boy and that from now on, he would be called Blackie and asked him to follow him around. Grandpa Morong was amused that only Chinpingan could play with the dragon. Chinpingan spoke to Grandpa Morong and asked if he could lend him 3rd or 4th grade pills. Grandpa Morong was confused about Chinpingan's intention for using garbage pills, but it was evident that he was suppressing his chi to the first layer of Dantian formation, indicating that he may be up to something new. He took off his ring and gave it to Chinpingan, which contained 3rd and 4th grade healing pills, and told him that he could just go back to the sect and get higher grade pills if he needed them. Grandpa Morong assured Chinpingan that he did not need to borrow anything, as the entire Pingan sect belonged to him in the first place. Chinpingan expressed his gratitude and told him that it was enough. However, he asked about the watermelon from the last time and insisted on taking 2 more. Grandpa Morong asked if it was alright, to which Chinpingan responded that it was only a few melons and Xiaolinger did not eat much. However, Xiaolinger became infuriated and screamed that she ate a lot of watermelons. Afterward, Grandpa Morong thanked Chinpingan for the watermelons and suggested that the pills could be traded for immortal watermelons, indicating that Chinpingan might have a vested interest in their growth. Grandpa Morong believed that Chinpingan could not find any reason to borrow the pills, so he used the watermelons as an excuse. He considered Chinpingan to be really kind. Chin Pingan reasoned that 2 watermelons could be exchanged for a large number of 3rd and 4th grade pills. He also thought that Grandpa Moron was afraid, which is why he hesitated to accept them. Despite this, he still believed that Grandpa Moron was really kind. Chin Pingan told himself that with the pills and the dog helping him break through the level, it should be a lot easier. However, he still needed a weapon. He considered using a kitchen knife but thought it was ugly. He then remembered the bronze sword and decided to take it. Chin Pingan noticed that the sword had sharpened and he realized that holding it would be difficult without a scabbard. Suddenly, the bronze sword began to glow and he was surprised when a scabbard appeared on its own. He thought that it was worthy of being a magical weapon and tucked the sword around his waist. After calling the dog, he instructed the system to begin. Curious about their destination, the dog asked the bronze sword where they were going. In response, the bronze sword told him to just follow and not ask too much. Sweating, the dog noticed a system message that appeared and stated that it covered up the bronze sword's strength so that he wouldn't appear too strong in front of Chin Pingan. Realizing that the system had strong coercion, the bronze sword reasoned that it must be the mistress, as his big brothers had kept mentioning. Soon, the mistress appeared and mumbled that she had finally progressed to the next stage. She added that she had not anticipated having to take so many detours and that it took so much time. She mentioned that it won't be long before they meet. Upon arriving in the northern region, Chin Pingan was impressed by the liveliness of the bustling metropolis before him, deeming it a truly worthy city. Suddenly, a system message popped up and notified him that his name in this kingdom would be Aotian. Furthermore, his mission was to let everyone in the kingdom know of his existence and the reward would increase him in one major realm. Chin Pingan was perplexed and wondered why the system would want him to use Aotian's name. He mumbled that he would try to notify everyone in the country of his existence. However, he was unsure about the effectiveness of this tactic. To seek clarity, he called out to a stranger and asked for his opinion on the matter. Unfortunately, the stranger was not helpful and responded angrily, saying that Chin Pingan was sick. Scratching his head in confusion, Chin Pingan agreed that the system might not work for everyone. Just then, another stranger grabbed Chin Pingan and introduced himself as Wang Dagui. Wang Dagui was amazed by Chin Pingan's physique and assumed that he must be a cultivation genius. However, Chin Pingan was annoyed and explained that he had no money, cheats, or resources. To this, Wang Dagui responded that he was not selling anything. He simply wanted to know if Chin Pingan was interested in forming a team to participate in an upcoming competition. Curious, Chin Pingan turned back and asked Wang Dagui about the tournament. Wang Dagui explained that Zhanwu Kingdom places great emphasis on martial arts and will hold a martial arts tournament to celebrate the prince's birthday. The competition will consist of teams of 5, and Wang Dagui's team already had 3 members. Wang Dagui approached Chin Pingan and inquired if he was interested in the contest. He also mentioned that his cultivation level was at the 1st level and that he was still under 30 years old. After careful consideration, Chin Pingan thought that participating in the contest could help him complete his task and allow him to practice with people of the same level. However, he was also aware of the need to be cautious and guard against other competitors. Chin Pingan responded to Wang Dagui, expressing his interest in the contest, but regretfully mentioned his current commitments. Wang Dagui felt disappointed but agreed to Chin Pingan's response. To encourage Chin Pingan to give it further thought, Wang Dagui suggested they could meet again later at the tea house. Chin Pingan waved goodbye, assuring Wang Dagui that they will see each other later. Feeling rejected, Wang Dagui returned to the tea house and muttered to himself. However, a young woman approached him and suggested that he should look for another person to join the competition.